Yo, 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 YouTube. Welcome back to another live with Charlie and Stu. Is Stu in the house tonight?
Stu who?
He's got to be here.
Who?
Stu. Stu who? That sounds like a children's book.
Well, that we're working on that.
Speaking of which, happy holiday. Do you know what holiday it is today?
What holiday is it? It's more likely. Oh, so why is that today? I thought
Mariah Carey Day
started like 3 weeks ago.
Well, basically, I don't ever want to steal from Halloween. Halloween's an amazing holiday. So the day after Halloween is when a lot of the radio stations will switch to Christmas music. Those that do Christmas music. I'm going to turn this away a little bit.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so it's kind of the first day you're allowed to start doing a little bit of Christmas spirit. So I've always called it Mariah Carey Day, and I changed my Facebook profile to Mariah Carey, and it's just kind of a running joke, and it's just all in good fun. Yeah. So I had to wear the Mariah today to celebrate.
Very nice.
How was your Halloween?
I look at my calendar at work, and we always get like the corporate calendar, and it has all these holidays on it. And then, of course, there's the one guy in every team who every day likes to send out in chat what national day it is. And it feels like there's a holiday for somebody every day now.
I would say that's probably true. Yeah. If you want to. The only ones I celebrate are the food ones. When they're like, it's donut day, I'm like, well, I got to have a donut. It's taco day. I mean, I better get a taco.
Taco day. Not those just Tuesdays anymore.
No. If it's National Taco Day, dude, it's on. I'm getting a taco. So
you got it.
Those you don't want to miss. But yeah, like the, National, Save a Kleenex Day or something like that. Like, I don't know. Not really my jam. So something for everyone, I suppose. All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in who's joining us right now. Thanks to everybody who's watching this after via upload streaming. We do not have a lot of topics tonight. It's been a busy week at my house, a bunch of other stuff going on. So, and then the holiday, of course, yesterday, and the holiday, of course, today. So we decided to just kind of have a free-for-all. I think we probably have some minor topics in mind, just from activities from business during the week that we'll throw in here, but we don't have anything specific we want to cover. So wow, we're gonna let the chat run wild, and we're just gonna kind of go with it. I see we already have a pretty active chat. That's been something that seems to be geez, Charlie chatted in here. I didn't even know we could do that.
Heck yeah, I like to get engaged out there every once in a while too.
That's neat. Be sure to like this, Charlie. So anyway, first of all, we've got Value Box Digger. He's the first one. He had a comment in here like well before the show even started, which was awesome. So that made me feel good because it's like, watch me do a free-for-all and we don't have chat participation tonight. I mean, we would oops, there goes my light. That was my light.
That sounded like a Chevy Chase.
That was my light.
On Saturday Night Live or something.
Yeah, well, it was right in front of the microphone. I was trying to turn it, and it took off. So, can you still see me okay?
Yeah, you're fine.
All right. We don't need that silly light. Come on now. So, Value Box Digger says, this week, instead of how many active listings you are at, how many listings did you both sell in the week? Oh, gosh, I don't know. I will have to go look.
Yeah, and we do this in the middle of a week, so you can't just quickly change the eBay settings to like the last week. You have to choose this week or last week and then combine it up.
Yeah, hold on a second here.
I know your number is going to be way bigger than mine.
Gosh, I hope so. Let me see. Where do we see that? I don't really look at my total. Is it under orders?
25th. Yeah, look at all orders, and then you can quickly look at this week for a period, and then if you go to last week and find your cutoff.
Okay. Last week, okay. Oh, that's a waiting. It says 0. I'm like, what? That was a waiting shipment.
Yeah, flip it to all orders.
They didn't ship.
So while you're looking, I've got 44, if my math is right. So I'm still a small time seller. I'm pretty happy with that, actually. I feel like I've been my consistency has been there, and I've gained a couple more orders a day. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I think as long as you're seeing some growth, I've talked about this a lot before because everybody wants to know how to go from 1,000 listings to 30,000 listings, and I think it's a real big mistake to try to do that in a day. Even if you're successful at doing that, it changes so many things. I don't want to see anybody fail or get frustrated, and I think it's best to have some of that growth over time. That's why I'm not a big fan of the bulk upload, the bulk listers. It'll get you some more activity. It might make the process a little faster, but I think you might go a little too fast.
Yeah.
I had 329 orders. But obviously that doesn't tell you how many cards though, because a lot of the orders are more than one card. So
yeah,
I guess we'd have to kind of guess on that number. But anyway, I'm pretty satisfied with that. It's a pretty good number. One of the things I did want to bring up tonight is some of the other YouTubers and stuff that I watch and other dealers I've talked to is they talk about, oh, this is the slowdown period, and as soon as August is done, I've been picking up like the last probably 3 weeks to 4 weeks. I've really been taking off, and my numbers have been going up. So I don't know if it's just because I've been adding more listings. The coupons have helped, to get some more sales, getting multiple card sales. Yeah, I don't know. I've gained some followers. I think the YouTube channel probably helps a little bit too. We're at 1,806, I think, subscribers. Somebody called me out if I'm wrong on that, but I think it's right around there. I thought that's what it said when I looked right before the show. So we've had, some good growth in the channel in the last few weeks too. I don't know how much that translates into store orders. I do definitely have viewers that message me and say, hey, I ordered this in your store. But yeah, so don't give up. If things have been slowing down, maybe we're running into a peak here now where you can pick up a lot of sales. I still think Christmas is a good time to sell cards if you have the right cards. I've been selling a ton of those Santa Claus cards, stuff like that. I bought some, and Charlie, I know you did too, bought some holiday tops from the store. You get your fancy little what ornament did you get? You bought one box, right?
I did. I got Paul Goldschmidt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got Tatis. Every single box top load I ever get in baseball is Fernando Tatis.
There's a lot
I've had I have his giant tops card. I've got the really big one. I've gotten 3 tops products with box loads, and they've all been Fernando Tatis. So
really?
Hopefully he stays out of trouble and keep playing. Maybe they'll be okay. Got a couple of the short prints, candy cane bats. One thing that I thought was really cool is the memorabilia is actually game worn.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was shocking. I wasn't expecting that at all. Well, player worn. I don't know what the drastic difference is, but if this was first of all, if this was a Panini product and it came with a bonus top load card and a player worn memorabilia card and the possible short prints and the foils and that kind of thing, this would be like a $60 to $65 product, and the tops boxes are $30. So
yeah, and I got that.
That's all I want to say about that.
Print. The super short print has a little snowman on it.
Yeah,
and it is kind of subtle. At first glance, I didn't notice it. I was like, is there anything on this one? And then I looked again, and I saw the little snowman in the corner, and I've already sold that one. That went out fast.
So from what I understand, the variations are candy cane bats, the Santa hats, the bows, where there's like a bow on the bat and a bow on the butt or something like that.
I haven't seen
that on the belt. Yep. And then there's the snowman. Yeah, so there's a short print, a super short print, and then a super short print, I think is what it is.
Yeah, I thought there was three. There's only three variants. There is the short print, the rare print, and a super short print.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I just glanced at it quick. I'm not going to buy a case of the stuff or anything. I just wanted to check out real quick. I don't even really look at the pictures on the cards. I look at the little Topps ID numbers on the back. That's how I tell if they're short.
Yeah, because there's three different codes for those. Yeah, so there's short prints, rare short prints, and super rare short prints. That's the terminology they use.
Super.
Yeah.
SRSPs.
It doesn't necessarily. I'm just looking at Cardboard Gold. It doesn't really tell you what the variation is, though. So we've seen the candy cane bat and the snowman ourselves. I think
the candy cane bat is the most common one, and then I think it's the Santa hat, and then I think it's the snowman. There's also two Santa Claus cards. There's the
Santa Archives.
Yeah, the memorabilia, which it's funny on the back. It says not used because it's not real or something like that, and then. There's which is numbered out of 25, and then there's just the regular Santa Claus card.
Yeah, the relic, they call it a faux relic card.
Faux relic, yep, yeah. Very strange. Does that help? Oh, that doesn't help either. I don't know. I feel like my lighting is way off today.
That faux relic card that's numbered out of 25. I looked at the odds on that one, and if I recall, it was 1 in almost
like 24,000. Yeah, 24,000 packs. Yeah. So that's packs, not boxes.
No, that was boxes.
What? That can't be right.
That was mega boxes. Yeah.
That can't be right. It's got it. Odds are always by pack.
I still have it up here. I'll double check it again.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, let's say
overall odds 1 in 24,353 mega. So maybe,
but they might mean mega packs. They might mean mega packs, though.
Yeah, it could be packs in a mega box, but I read it as
odds have always been stated by pack. But I can see where you read it and think of it as boxes. That would be a lot of that's way more boxes than it should be.
And then the hobby box is 1 in 24,594. So
not much difference.
Yeah, slightly different.
Yeah. Bill has joined us. Welcome, Bill. I don't know if you've been here before, but we're happy to have you. He says, yo, YouTube. So clearly he's watched my channel before with my specialized intro that I like to have in every episode. Thanks for joining us. Feel free to join in the chat. It's up to you guys tonight where we go with this. So what's up, guys? Glad I'm here for the live. We're happy you're here as well. This weird Charlie looking dude. Who's that? Who's that Charlie guy? Evening all. Looking forward to lots of engagement this evening in the chat. You got it. And if anybody has questions for Stu, tonight's the night because we don't have specific card topics. So if you want to chat with Stu, let's do it. On the desktop, if you go under the bar graph of the sales dollars and click last 7 days, it gives you lots of awesome numbers, tells you how many repeat customers, cards sold, etc., etc. Yeah, I just couldn't remember where it was. I don't look at that stuff real regularly. Yeah. I'm more of a dollars and cents guy, so I look at, and I look at my listings numbers, where I'm at overall listing.
That doesn't give you a true last 7 days. It goes back the whole period and gives you the 7 days of that previous period. So if you do it right now, it shows it's compared to the previous one.
The previous 7 days, right?
Yeah. That may work.
It's kind of like if you look at the last 31 days of performance, it isn't really fully 31 days because it counts the current. It counts your current day. So if you look at it in the morning, it shows that you don't have any sales for the day because you probably don't at 4 a.m. Or very few. And then if you look at it again at 9 at night and you have a bunch of sales, you probably don't notice this as much, but I do because I have, a couple $100 of sales a day. But then I look at it at night and it's like, okay, yeah, you're all caught up because you have a full day of sales in there. So
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's interesting how some of those metrics go. Got to take them all a little bit with a grain of salt because they're not perfect and they don't necessarily tell you what's going on um, to a micro view anyway. Aretha Franklin is here. She says, hello and I love you. We love you too. Thanks so much for joining us. We're happy to have you as usual. I know you're going to be in on the chat. So let's talk hockey murder. Okay. Yeah, so we can get right to the point on that one. Freak accident. Thoughts? I don't. Did they charge the guy? Wasn't it his teammate? I thought it was
I
his
know
teammate.
nothing
Where
about this one, honestly.
so she's not wrong. Literally, a guy died on the ice this week. A player's. I don't follow it real close. I just heard kind of the basic story of it. Basically, a player's hockey skate sliced his throat, and he bled out on the ice.
I've heard of that
So
a couple of times in history, but I didn't know something just happened.
it's and I'm nothing to joke about by any measure, but it kind of reminded me of the Adam Sandler movie when he's like, remember he's that overly aggressive hockey player. Don't you ever touch my puck? You remember?
Right.
And he's
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna beat you with my skate, and that's what it made me think of at first. But yeah, it's some serious stuff. I don't know. I don't know.
So was this an NHL player or in the lower
Yeah.
leagues or really?
Yes, it was an NHL game.
Wow.
Here we go. Here's some clarification from Value Box Digger. It was really sad. He's from my state. Scored his first and only NHL goal against Minnesota Wild, his home state. So I think he was a really young player. It was like his fourth NHL game or something like that. You guys clarify this because obviously you guys are way more involved in this than Charlie and I are. But yeah, didn't really want to see something like that, unfortunately. Speaking of that, though, so if we want to go stick with morbidity and how it applies to cards, and I'm kind of blowing the roof off a little bit for my video that I'm going to release tomorrow, but I'll have my pickups video from Madison. I went to the Madison Card Show this past weekend, and I was going to say I killed it, but that's probably not appropriate right now. But I did very, very well there. I actually wish I could have stayed longer. I went with some friends to do some whiskey tastings and some other things in the area, so I was only there till 1:00-ish, which gave me a pretty good amount of time. Picked up a lot of stuff, but man, it was a great show. Anyway, a few of the cards I picked up, I got a Saddam Hussein rookie card. Yeah, so that's something that I never thought I would buy, but I got it in a quarter box, which of course I didn't pay a quarter for it, and they go for $15 to $20. So had to have it. It does expand my non-sport a little bit. I did also pick up the Colin Powell though, so I balanced it out a little bit, a little good and evil there. And then I also picked up a Ray Carruth Fleer Metal rookie card. He just got out of prison like 2 or 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Do you know who Ray Carruth is? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Ray Carruth.
And then I picked up a Ray Carruth Bowman's Best Atomic Refractor for a quarter, out of a quarter box. I didn't pay a quarter, but
okay,
out of a quarter box.
I believe he played for Carolina, didn't he?
He did, yes. Yeah. And he had he didn't do the act from what I understand, but he was involved in the planning of his girlfriend's murder.
Yeah.
Who was pregnant with his kid besides. Kid survived, but he's got like Down syndrome and all kinds of problems due to that event. So I don't know. Yeah. So those will be in the video tomorrow. Is a little bit of strange pickups that I wouldn't normally get. They all came out at one show, so who knows. I was gonna buy the Scud missile card too.
Oh.
Because from what I understand, those do okay. I didn't look it up or anything, and I figured I got this Hussein and Powell. I went stuck with those. But
why is there always the fascination with missiles in any conflict? So we go back to Desert Storm, we'd turn on the TV and we'd see the Scud missiles all the time. Mm-hmm. We turn on the war in Ukraine, and we see and hear the missiles in the news footage all the time. And now with the war in Israel and Gaza, it's the same thing. Every time I turn it on, there's always these missiles in the background, and it seems like everybody's infatuated with getting those on camera.
I think, I mean, I guess I can't say for every missile that comes out, but I know with the Scud missile, it was like invented for that war. And
Yeah.
it was basically, I think it was pretty much the first time we fought in a war where we didn't really have to send like a ton of troops in. We could just keep firing all these missiles. So it really reduced death and injury and stuff like that to our own forces, and that's why it was such a big deal. And it's funny because every time I think of that stupid name, the Scud missile, and Scud stands for something. It's SCUD, and it's stands for something. I don't remember what it is. But I can remember those, was it a CNN reporter or whatever? But he was this really good-looking guy who would do when they called him the Scud Stud. Do you remember that?
Wolf Blitzer.
Is that who it was? Wolf Blitzer? Is he a good-looking guy? I don't know.
Well, he was much younger then, but
right. Yeah, this was like early 90s, like 91, 92.
That I think I do remember the phrase Scud Stud.
Yeah. So just, I don't know. It made me think of that. I'm like, I don't want to get involved in that card. That was, I don't know. But normally you don't see those cards real often. I would certainly never buy like a box of them, or they're not.
Right.
Most of them are nothing. But I found in a non-sport box, I just found kind of the Hussein and the Powell hanging out, and those are the two that actually kind of go for some money and get sales. So I picked those up. But yeah, so a little morbid. And then what was really weird too, I looked at during the show, I looked at my sales during the day, just kind of on a break between tables, and I think my total at the time was $66.66 for the day.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was like, what is going on? Like, should I put these cards back? I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Someone was telling you something.
I guess, yeah. I bought them anyway, but as a matter, maybe I'll try to dig them out later. We'll see. Otherwise, watch the video tomorrow when I upload the pickups video. I got some really good stuff. I got my first ever 1 of 1 out of a quarter box.
Ooh.
Yeah. So you're gonna want to check that out. Let's see. Do you see Atomic Design is with us? Thanks for joining us. Do you see big change in sale trends with changing sports seasons, winding up baseball, basketball starting, football mid-season? I honestly, we've talked about this a lot, and I think everybody kind of does to some degree, but I don't. I just list stuff. I buy what I know is less than what I can get for it. So I'll buy soccer, I'll buy football. If I'm like, I definitely carry a bunch of Jordan. I definitely carry a bunch of Jeter, the big retired names. And if those, if my stock on those gets low, I'll buy a bunch. So if I see a run on sales, I'll do that. But I don't buy for a specific season, and I don't really notice. Maybe current players you'd see that a little bit more with, where during the season performance kind of thing, would influence that. But low end cards, I don't really run that way.
Yeah, I have been more concerned with that. I certainly do take it into account with my listing strategies. Like, I want to catch the wave, so to speak, and be ahead of it. But as far as the actual sales, I don't know that I see a huge difference. Like,
yeah,
I definitely want to have the buying opportunities out there in time when things hit the media cycle. But I don't know that it's a significant push in my actual sales. Like this last week, I sold more WWE cards than I have in the 6 months I've been doing this. And a lot of those I just happened to find a couple of the right buyers that came back and bought more and more cards. I think it's sometimes more about who becomes your repeat buyers, and it affects what channels of cards you're selling. You get a
Yeah.
couple of routine buyers that are just into football, you're going to consistently be selling football cards, right?
Yeah.
I've got a couple WWE buyers now. I expect I'm going to see more consistent sales in WWE regardless of what's going on, in the rest of the world.
Well, one of the things that's kind of funny about this question is football's in mid-season, right? So you'd think you'd be selling. Well, I know like Will Levis right now is hot because he threw 4 touchdowns or whatever in his first
Sent one
start.
out today.
Yeah. All mine are gone. I don't have any left. But so you have those kind of weird things that pop up. But you know what I've been selling a lot of recently that I haven't the last few months? Tom Brady. He doesn't even play. He's not eligible for the Hall of Fame for 4 years yet, so there's no reason for his stuff to pick up in sales. But I found a buyer who was looking for that stuff and came back and bought a couple of different chunks of Brady stuff. So I think you just need to be ready for when your customer is ready to buy and go with that. The other thing is I don't focus much on sales. To me, the money is when you buy. When I'm going to buy, that's when I'm looking at going, okay, if I spend 25 cents on a card, even if I don't think, oh, there probably isn't a market room right now for this card too much, it's a baseball card, it's the end of the baseball season. I don't care if I hang on to it for a year until it comes into a cycle where it's more appropriate for a sale. And most of the time, you're going to get your best deals when the cards aren't hot, right? Yeah. You're going to find, Adley Rutschman rookies now at a much better price than you would have in, May, I would think. So you're not going to buy them now because nobody else is buying Adley Rutschman. Like, you need to buy when other people aren't buying. I focus on that. And then I figure the sales will come when it's time for those sales to occur. I had a bunch of Gardner Minshew. I'd mentioned it in card show videos in the past that I was buying Minshew, and people are like, why are you buying Gardner Minshew? Because he's a great journeyman quarterback, and they hang around for a long time. And I sold a bunch of Gardner Minshew at the beginning of the year when he was starting again, so I was getting them cheap, 15 cents for rookie cards and stuff like that. Well, what's 15 cents, Even if he never played another game, to me, it was worth that small capital investment to do that, and then if I sell them for $4 or $5 a piece, which I did beginning of this year, that's a solid turn. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't see a big change, and nor do I buy and sell based on a change, I think is how I want to answer your question. I think, Charlie, you feel pretty much, based on your answer, you feel pretty much the same way.
Yeah.
Other than if you need inventory.
Correct.
Right. So let's say you had a huge run on WWE. Now you're probably looking at buying some WWE because you need to get that inventory back.
Yeah. Or, I don't have a lot of hockey right now. So the last couple of shows, I did try to look for some hockey, knowing the season was coming up. Sure. But, like in your situation where you have so much in your listings, you've got plenty of options for people in all the big sports, right? Like, I think it's different if you only have a couple of listings in a sport. Now you need to think about getting ahead of the start of the season or the start of the preseason and getting some options out there.
Yeah, and that's probably true. And you know what? If you're, depending on what your business model is or what you're buying and selling, if it changes with the seasons, then you got to do that too. Like if you really have to base whatever you're going to do based on your customers, right? So if your customers want these right now, then you got to get some. Or get some before then. If your customers aren't buying this stuff right now, well, then maybe you start looking at something else. I don't like to chase the buck. I don't want to be buying this stuff now because it's selling, and now I got to sit with it because I missed that selling period, or I'm overpaying for it because other people are buying it. Like, I don't know. I go through a quarter box and I go, can I sell this for $3? Can I sell this for $3? Can I sell this for? I don't care if it's baseball, football, wrestling. I bought a California Raisins card today or this weekend. I bought a Saddam Hussein card.
Yeah.
I just look at it like I want to see my margins. If my margins are there, I'll buy it. If it takes a year to sell it, I don't care. I have enough other stuff to sell.
Yeah, I definitely agree that my buying patterns are not affected by the seasons. They're
Yeah.
strictly affected by what's moving for me,
Hmm.
or that I know you're moving, in the market, and what do I need. But my listing patterns are probably the one thing that is affected
Yeah.
more. Like, and it's not strict. I'm not saying I'm only going to list if it's that market right now. But for
Right.
example, I have thousands of cards sitting next to me that aren't listed yet, and I have them organized in the way that I want to rotate every day what channel of cards I'm listing. So I cater to all my customers looking for new stuff. Well, when I get to baseball and I've got 3,000 cards sitting there to choose from, what am I going to list? Sure, I might grab the pack of Diamondbacks and Rangers. If I'm going to spend an hour on listing today, I think I want to get more of those out there because that's what's happening in the sport right now. Does
Sure.
that mean all I'm going to sell for a week is Diamondbacks and Rangers for baseball cards? Absolutely not. But I will tell you, I didn't have a lot out there. I put some out there and I immediately sold 3 or 4 of them that I wouldn't have
Sure.
sold if I hadn't picked those to list, or I at least wouldn't have sold now.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
think there's a little bit to it in the listing, definitely not in the buying.
Yeah. I just kind of grab whatever I have to list and I go for it. And then when I get bored of listing that certain item, then I go list something else. I don't necessarily have like, oh, this is the hot thing sitting in my to be listed pile. It would already
Yeah.
be listed in most cases. So I try to be, ahead of it, not quick playing catch up to the thing that's
Yeah.
going on now.
And in
The
fairness, I
best
don't
best
sit
of
here
my
and
ability.
say, what's the hot thing right now? I need to dig that out of my unlisted pile and find that. It's just if
Right.
it comes to mind, then I'll be
Right.
like, oh, yeah, I got those. That's what I'm going to grab right now.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. I don't. Let's skip some of the hockey stuff. Aretha says she enjoyed my card show video. Great to see Bo in the clip. Yeah, I tried to. I did something a little different with this card show video. First of all, I'm a little pressed for time this week, so it kind of helped me with a little less editing and voiceovers and stuff. But I left it kind of raw. I had some friends with me. We had some conversations while I was walking around. I talked to Bo. I talked to Nick, a couple other dealers that I know, and I thought it would be fun to just sort of show live interactions with those dealers and conversations we had, and me making my offers and so forth. And I got some pretty good feedback on that, so I'll probably try to do that a little more often if there is good conversation. I didn't really do any of that before a couple months ago. Leave really any of the conversations in because I had a lesser camera. Let's say I bought a brand new GoPro now, which does a lot better for voice. You get a lot more in the wider shot. You actually see faces, and so I feel like I have a little bit more liberty now to allow the video to kind of go on its own, and I don't have to speak over the top of it to explain what's going on. So I'm glad you liked it. And yeah, um, yeah, Bo's fun. He does what I do full time as well, but he does it a little differently. So it's always fun to sort of kick each other back and forth. What we're doing. I bought a ton of stuff off of Nick. And I talked to Bo after the show, and he said he went and bought out whatever he had left. So it's kind of interesting that we both sort of found the same dealer to supply what we wanted, but I'm more picky. I like to cherry pick my cards, and Bo's more, I'll buy five rows, get them pretty cheap, and hopefully there's some stuff to pick out of them, which I'm sure there is. I'm sure but yeah, I don't really want to deal with the bulk, and I got a bunch of diamond quarter boxes already going, so I don't generally approach that way. I'd rather pull out a couple hundred quarter cards and then hopefully get them for 15 to 20 cents, and have all stuff that I can definitely list. Aretha says she's found Aaron Hernandez card the other day and had a quick yikes moment. Yeah, I've listed some Aaron Hernandez cards, so yeah, it's it is what it is. When you have a league with that many players in it coming and going, there's going to be incidents in it within it. Seems to be more in football, but I don't know, the hockey player attacking a hockey player, that might be one of the biggest. Let's see, urethra. I'm having trouble with that name today. I don't know why. Because we are trained since childhood to be infatuated with war, conflict, and weaponry, in my opinion. I think it's a couple. I actually agree, but to expand on that just a tad further, I think I think there's a lot of angles that it comes from. I think people just are, yeah, intrigued with, oh my God, you're gonna blow up a building, it's something you're not supposed to do normally. It's kind of that video game angle, esque angle to it. And then technology. I think people are really interested in like missile guiding systems, and oh my God, we can send a missile there, and it's controlled in Washington D.C. where it goes. Um, just like right now, the huge fascination is these drone airplanes. We don't fly. We don't put pilots in the planes anymore. They just fly. They just radio control them, or however they do it, and they're going to run the bombing missions and things like that, rescue missions, whatever. Um, so yeah, I agree. I think it's just it's hard to fathom all that type of activity going on, and we just can't turn away. What I remember about the Gulf War, and I, at that age when the Gulf War came on, there really wasn't a big war in my life up to then. It was well after Vietnam, and stuff like that. But it was like on video 24 hours a day. Like you could watch it from all these different angles. Right. There were cameras, like unmanned cameras, like set up in, buildings and military spots. And you could just watch, like, it was like fireworks, right? You just watch these missiles just all going through the sky. And then it was, this missile goes, and then this one takes off and blows it up in midair. And like, it was just, it was a really weird movie, in a way. And, you could have, some guys doing a frontline attack, and all of a sudden you got like a reporter in the middle of them, like, "Hey, how's it going?" "Well, it's going okay," and bullets flying by. It's just mind blowing, to see it at that close of view. I'd seen videos of World War II and all, but that's just a bunch of black and white. You can't really make out what it's not the same as having the view we can have now. Scud, I always think of Laura Scudder's potato chips. I think they were the economy brand as kids. I do not remember those.
Yeah, I don't recognize that name.
I have no clue what you're talking about. Carl's has joined us. Yo, guys, what's happening? Well, cards are happening. Card buying, card selling. We were just kind of talking about how sales have been good for us. I know, Charlie, you sent me a message too, like, "Hey, I'm picking up."
Yeah.
And last week you talked about it a little bit too. I know your listing activity has picked up too. That's definitely helped.
Yeah. But I mean, when I'm not listing new stuff, I'm still using your tactic of engaging, new listings, quasi new listings every day by taking some of the old stuff, ending it, and then selling similar. So
what a great idea.
It is a great idea. It works well. It keeps you fresh in the algorithm. Mm-hmm. But now I'm actually getting into truly, listing brand new cards out there and stuff too.
Yeah, that's not going to get you your sales all on its own, obviously, right? First of all, as you get those sales, your quantity is still going to go down, because if you're not adding anything new. But also some of those listings are old because for a reason, might not be just as much market for them and things. So it's a great activity to make sure you have some listings. Very first thing I do in the day, and then you got to get out to some shows. You got to buy some lots. You got to do whatever it takes to get some things, to buy some boxes, whatever. However you get your inventory, you need to do that to keep adding to it for sure.
Yeah.
D-Man has joined us. Welcome, D-Man. Happy to have you here. I saw those Desert Storm cards you bought and all the cool different cards. Like you always said, it costs 15 cents or cheaper. Not a ton of risk if it sells or not quickly. Yeah, I mean, that's basically my story on it. If I feel like I can buy something for 15 cents and sell it for $3, I don't see why I wouldn't want to pick that up. So, and do they also, I have 600 cards I bought at the show. Do they all sell instantly? No, but that's okay too. As you add your listings and you're at listing quality stuff, you're going to just see those sales. And you have to remember too that some of those 15-cent cards I'll get $15 for or
Right.
$20 for. So you can make up for a whole bunch of the other cards that maybe sit for a little bit with just a few sales. So even some of those cards that, we had talked last week a bit about going to a local shop and picking some stuff up. I just hadn't been to a show for a while. I knew they had put out some new dollar boxes and wanted to go hit them up. I sold a whole bunch of cards that I bought from there. I felt like I kind of overpaid for them, so I had to sort of overcharge for them, if you will. But I sold a couple of the Bo Jackson rookies. I sold the that orange shimmer Ultimate Warrior. I sold that already. What else did I sell? A couple of different parallels and things like that. So it's like, man, these I paid up a little bit more for because I bought them from a local shop. But I didn't have gas. I didn't have, hours invested in, I could go at my own time to go do it. I had some liberties, which cost me a little bit more, but I'm still able to flip. And I know you said you sold some out of there too.
Yeah, same result. A lot of those WWE cards I sold were picked up at our LCS, last week, and I came home feeling the same. I felt like I overpaid a little bit. I had to work harder than I probably would have at a card show, and I was a little frustrated with it. But I was able to flip them at a decent profit right away. Where now I have lots of it yet that will eventually sell and is all pure profit now.
Yeah, I did buy a Sasha Banks card this weekend.
Nice. Yeah.
It's some kind of insert out of some set. It looks like the 1987 Topps baseball, so it's got like the wood border to it.
Yeah.
But I got it in a quarter box. I'm like, you know what? Fine. I didn't buy the ones from the shop, and it's the reason I told you because I knew it would be something you'd want to do. I didn't know enough about them, and they were not 15 cents. They were $1 to like $3, something like that.
Right. And I was able to get them for less than $1, but I didn't get them for 15 cents either.
No, yeah. And, from coming from the shop's perspective, I can understand, they have a lot more writing on each sale, but, yeah, interesting. D-Man says he loves seeing bargain box hunting videos. Well, good, because that's basically all I make. For the most part, I do that, and then obviously I do a little bit of an instructional video. I like transparency, so I like to show some sales just so you can see that how things actually go. What's funny is when I first started doing those sale videos, I had somebody who would post on my videos a lot of the times like, "Oh, you don't have an eBay link to your store in this video description," and I'm like, "Okay, thanks," and I put it in there, and then I get the same message from another viewer like a week down the road because I'd just forget it, put it in there,
Yeah.
But what I realized was that person was probably checking up on me to make sure that when I posted like this is my sale, like it was actually my sale. So it's kind of funny.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
And that's okay. I want people to vet me because I want you to know that what I put on there is my actual stuff. But kind of funny. I haven't heard from that person in a long time now, so I'm guessing they're like, "Yep, this guy's okay."
Yeah.
Posting his actual sales. I can't imagine why I would post someone else's sales, but I don't know, whatever. Especially because I'm holding the card in the video. I'm like, I sold this card for this $1,
Yeah.
And, but anyway, yeah, so that was a great show. There were some good pickups. I was really glad. I hadn't been to the Madison show since July of last year. It's been a long time. And I do believe it's important to try to get out to some different shows. I don't know where you're at, Shirley, as far as what you're going to be able to get to, but I am going to go to the Legacy show on the 18th. Is that something you're considering?
Yeah, that was the one I was most interested in checking out just because I hadn't been to that one yet.
So maybe maybe we can hit that one together and try to get some video. We always say we're going to do some video together, and we don't really. I just sort of film the show, and then we go get lunch, and then I'm tired of filming, and I take the thing off. But yeah, Yeah, here's the other thing I've been running into, and I don't know if it's because I'm shooting in 4K or or the GoPro gets more video, but I keep filling my SD card
Oh,
before I'm done with the show. I was actually gonna because like I said this last Saturday, I only there till 1, and then I went and did some whiskey stuff. I was gonna shoot a little bit of the whiskey stops just for fun,
yeah.
um, throw some in there. My SD card filled up before I even left the show, so.
Yeah, if you're
Uh,
shooting in at HD, it's definitely gonna take more data.
Yeah, yeah. So I've got a bunch of stuff going on tomorrow, but hoping maybe Friday I can stop in and pick up a bigger SD. I'll have to see what size it even goes up to. I'm not sure, but yeah. So and I'd love to shoot in like total 4K, but man, it's insane how much room that takes up,
It is, yeah.
and then what I do, I shoot everything with that camera, then I download it to my phone, and then I use a program that converts it. So like up converts it. Remember when Blu-ray players came out and they would up convert your DVDs
Yeah.
to like Blu-ray-ish quality? That's what this program does, and then I upload it to YouTube. So it looks pretty 4K-ish when you watch it, but it's not shot in 4K. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe someday that's something that I will have to do, but maybe when I hire an editor and a videographer, and I get all that kind of stuff out of my hands. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a dream. I will. Dave says I want to throw a chair across the room for Bobby Knight. Did he die today or something?
Yeah, we lost
Yeah.
Bobby Knight at age
Uh,
83, but even the old Stu felt that one.
yeah, he was a screamer. He was something.
Bobby, so Stu was actually mentored by Bobby Knight.
Really, he learned from the best. Can
Yeah,
Stuart
Bobby
throw a
Knight
chair?
mentored him on his communication style.
Yeah, I, I can see how that came from there. That does make some sense. Can he throw a chair at all though? I don't think he doesn't have thumbs.
He's kind of, well, I like to say he's very stuck in his ways. So
Uh, dad jokes. Dad jokes on Mariah Carey Day. Oh my God, I
Yep.
just cut her head off.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So speaking of which, this is just going to be a morbid show, I guess. But Matthew Perry, that was kind
Yeah.
of sad too. I know he had struggled for years with addictions and stuff, and he was kind of getting out of it, and obviously he fell back off that wagon. But yeah, it's too bad. He was a good dude. Like there was no, just fell into the wrong uh, activities, I guess. Yeah, Laura Scudder's must have been a regional West Coast brand. I'm guessing it touched
Probably.
nowhere near here. I've never heard of that before in my whole life.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Like
Dave
Sundrop.
says, yeah, yeah. Dave says there's great pitching tonight. I don't know. I don't watch any of that stuff. Baseball? What's baseball? Although I did watch a tad bit of sport tonight. Arsenal played. Arsenal is my enemy, so and they got waxed tonight. So I was like, "What happened to Arsenal?" So in a good way for me. But anyway, for those who follow soccer, that's about where I was with watching sport today. Wish I had more shows around me. Only one monthly show here. At least it's on Saturday. I usually do good at the bargain boxes. Yeah, we have quite a few. I'd actually contemplated starting like a monthly Green Bay show myself, but I just don't know. I mean, some of the ones that have been around a while don't get as well attended now because people are going to other shows. Now the Valley in Oshkosh has a lot more shows coming up on their schedule. You got the Cardboard Legacy, and then what's that other one where it's like the collectibles, card and collectibles show that we went to in Oshkosh? Can't remember
Yeah.
the name of it.
Yeah, that one's coming up again.
And that's quarter. I think that's quarterly, right? I
I
believe, or
believe
is it
so,
every
yeah.
6 months? Maybe it's twice a year. I don't know.
I'm gonna try and look it up while you're chatting about it.
But we got that one. We've got one in Appleton that's was supposed to be every other month, but it's kind of been happening monthly. And then we've got the one out in Luxembourg. Um, we've got the Green Bay one that's quarterly. We set up. Charlie and I set up at that one. at the KI, and it's like, man, how many more shows do we need? What if the draw to shows starts to drop? Uh, that's my real only fear in running this business, and one of the reasons why I try to buy a lot of stuff when I go to shows, is that at some point the hobby will sleep a little bit again, and there won't be as many shows to go to, and that's where I get most of my inventory from. Now, there's plenty of online channels, and I bought a lot of stuff online, so it's not like I would have to shut down, but my cherry picking days would be null at that point, or
So,
very slowed down.
so I was just looking at what I had added in my calendar for upcoming card shows, and you talked about Cardboard Legacy, and we want to go to that on the 18th. But then I have another one sponsored from them, is that Wisconsin Herd Card Show in January. So that one's a little
Yep, yep.
different than the first one, but sponsored by the same group.
Yeah, and maybe I'll hit that one in January. We'll see. That's the other thing. I'm trying to hit a few here while the weather's still decent, because in Wisconsin, you never know. We end up with a foot of snow. I'm not driving down to Madison. So,
I saw a new one I hadn't seen before in Clintonville the other day too, but it wasn't a date that I was going to be able to make.
Yeah, that was this past Saturday. I talked to a couple people that went to it, and it did not go that well. So,
Okay.
Clintonville is kind of a little bit of a strange location. I mean, I guess it's west a little bit. I could see like Wausau or Fond du Lac, or there's other spots in the state that I think could do.
Well, you can always go see the 4-wheel drive Hall of Fame, in museum while you're there.
I could, but I won't. So, there's that. Yeah, it would be, I don't know. I just don't want to stretch it too thin. We'll have to see. I think it's one of those things where, like, you want to get it going and then get it built up, have your regular, and that's the other thing. You need the dealers, right?
Right.
So let's say, well, this show's in Milwaukee and this show's in Appleton, so I could still do a show in Green Bay. Well, how many dealers are you going to get if they're going to those two other shows they've already booked at and so forth? That's tough. So, okay, great. You got a space, you got a weekend, you even have people that want to come to the show, customers, but you don't have anybody to sell anything. So, and if you don't sell tables, and some of the, depending on where you're at, the renting the room space can be really expensive.
Yeah, and that Oak Creek one, is that a quarterly one as well?
I think that's monthly. I believe it's monthly. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's we call that the Milwaukee show.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
This Saturday, 9 a.m. they've got one.
Yeah, they have one Saturday. Yeah. Can't do Saturday. I got some stuff to do here. I'm actually putting the furniture into the movie theater on Saturday, so I'm pretty psyched. Just got the stairs done and the railings done and all that, so we're officially going to be moving the stuff in. So is the plan anyway. Got a little bit behind with some other stuff, but yeah, I need to do that this Saturday. I need to move my office down there. It's gonna be a game changer for me. Hoping to maybe do a green screen behind me down there, and kind of do what I want with it. But
yeah,
at least maybe have some sort of backdrop that's set up for videos. I mean, I never intended that in this office. That, wasn't even shooting videos when I started in here. So, yeah, it'd be nice to get it set to the right, what it's actually going to be purposed for.
Right.
It would be nice to see the two of you out and about together. We've gone to some shows together, and you'll see us sort of bump around in a video together, but we get so focused on our picks and getting to our box. I mean, the last one we went to, I think, was Janesville, and Charlie spent like 2.5 hours at one dealer table. So we got some video while we were over there, but I had to move. So now he was finding good stuff, which is great. And you want to stay where
dig into some different boxes, different sports.
Yeah, because as long as you're doing well, I think your price per card usually comes out a bit higher than mine. That's probably about the only difference as far as what you're finding. But if you're getting more money for them too, that's fine.
most shows I leave between a quarter and 35 cents a card, something like that. I'm still
Yeah.
trying to build my expertise to your level.
Well, and like I said, it depends on what you buy too. I mean, I
Yeah.
bought, I bought a lot of soccer base, but stars, and soccer stuff is just more expensive. You don't see a lot of it, and you want Lionel Messi cards, Chrome cards, you got to pay up a little bit for it.
Yeah.
These were priced at two a piece. I probably got them down to like a buck and a quarter on them. That's pretty solid. I'll get $6 a base card for those.
Yeah.
And somebody might even, I bought five of them. Somebody might even come in and just buy all five of them.
Yep.
So it's, you know, I got to put the money out for five, but I can just send five out right away.
Yeah.
Those types of cards sell that way. So it's relative. So my cost, from that buyer is obviously going to be more. But I really try to, the two for a dollar box is really my favorite spot. I've done really well with those. You can find some pretty good value. Lots of bigger name players are in those. A lot of times they're top loaded, so you get kind of the supplies bonus out of it.
Yep.
I really like those boxes. Because they're two for a dollar, a lot of times you can get them down closer to a quarter, 30,
Yeah.
35 cents.
Yeah.
And then you got 10 cents for the top load. I mean, you're doing really well on some of those cards.
Yeah, and I don't stay just in the value boxes, just the dime boxes and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I will go to some of those tables and work the dollar cards. I'll work the $2 cards. I'll work the
Yep.
as marked boxes a little bit. I really don't get into the high end slabs at all. I just keep on
No.
walking past that. But if I see some stuff on sale, I might stop and take a look. Like if they've got half off on some slabs or something, I might look at that because they're trying to move them. But so that does bring up, if I mix in some of that stuff, it does bring up my per card costs on it. But
Hmm.
the other difference between us a lot of times at shows is you go in with a lot more buying power than me. You usually get more volume than me, and that makes a difference as well. If you can leave a table talking to a dealer about a purchase of twice as many cards as I'm buying, you'll get a little bit deeper discount too.
Because I'm rich, biatch.
No, but I mean,
Rich in holiday spirit.
we our businesses are at different levels. We both go in there with a different budget, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's usually, it's I don't know how high yours is. Mine is, I usually go to a card show with $200. That's all I take with me.
Mhm.
And I'll usually spend all of that. A couple times I haven't, and I'll buy myself a meal on the way home. But
Yeah, that's actually pretty close to what I normally bring with me.
yeah,
I think I spent like, let's see, it was 55, 25. I think I spent about 160 some at this last show, and I got almost 600 cards. So
okay,
it's a crapshoot. If you can find a ton of stuff at one dealer, you can almost half price.
yeah,
That gets you a lot further. And yeah, like you said, if you're buying out of the dollar box, I mean, I almost spent $200 at the local card shop the other day.
yeah,
But I bought more expensive stuff. I bought Bo Jackson rookie cards and stuff like that,
yeah,
um, because they were there, and I wanted to bulk up enough, to get some discount. And if I'm going to spend my 2 hours there to dig, I'm going to make sure I come away with enough stuff.
yeah,
And I probably wouldn't look for those at a show, right? I would buy Bo Jackson rookie cards for the price. I think I bought a Donruss the rookies card, rookie baseball card from him for I think $3, and I sold it for 9 today.
okay,
So that's probably not something I would find in a value box at a show, right? Because I'm looking
right,
in dollar boxes or two for a dollar or whatever. So yeah, I try to pick and choose my times a little bit on where it would, try to look at bigger stuff. Um, One thing that I find is really, really funny, and it happens a lot at shows. I'll dig through like somebody's quarter box, and I'll find a card that I like and I want to sell. And okay, great. So I'll throw that aside. and I start digging through their dollar box and I find the same card. Do you ever get that? And I'm like, well, I'm not going to pay $1 for it. I can run over here for a
Yeah,
quarter.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm not talking like condition difference or centering, where there would be an obvious difference in value. I'm talking like pretty much the same card,
yeah,
and they have one for a quarter, one for $1. I noticed that a lot at that card shop. I'm like, how does a card shop do that? They literally look at these boxes all day. But it just makes me chuckle because I'm like, yeah, I won't buy the $2 one. I'll buy the 25-cent one. Thanks. Um, so that's one of those things you kind of got to watch for. Or you could try to get a match. You could say, well, hey, you got this one for a quarter and this one for $2. Like I'd give you 50 cents for both.
yeah,
If you wanna do the quarter, but you could burn yourself too. They might be like, well, that shouldn't have been a quarter. It should be $2. So I generally, unless I need quantity of that certain card, I generally don't play that game. I take my better deal and I buy that and I leave the $2 one for somebody else.
yeah.
So I'm guessing the wives have zero interest in being in your YouTubes. Um, so I did talk to my wife about that, and she's like, "Yeah, I could do that, but I also have an 8-year-old daughter, and nighttime is kind of the hardest time if you don't have kids, and Charlie, obviously you do, but she won't go to bed on her own. She won't put her own jammies on. She won't like read her book to go, like she needs somebody there to kind of get the nighttime taken care of and get her into bed and all that stuff. So it just doesn't really fit for both of us. Also, she generally plans like stuff she needs to do for when I'm doing a video night. Like she was putting the black walnut fronts on I told you we were finishing up the basement steps there. She was doing that when I came up here. So she might still be doing that. I don't know. But that's an activity that she needs to get done. That's nothing I can do with her. So she'll usually plan her stuff for. It's her freedom night, if you will, a little bit. Plus the
Sure.
kid, of course.
Yeah, my kids are a little older, so I don't have that problem. They do all that on their own. Other than we got to get them started for the night and tell them it's time, but then they're good to go. But I've talked
Brush
to my
your
wife
teeth.
as well. Huh?
Brush your teeth. Comb your hair.
Yeah. So I've talked to my wife as well, and she'd be up for joining us an episode and kind of sharing her viewpoint of this crazy thing we do and spend so much time on. We've talked before. She's very supportive of it. I was out of town last week for a couple of days, and she actually shipped my sales out. So, I'm still negotiating offers on cards while I'm on the road. But once I get paid for it, I send her a picture of the card that I need shipped out. She pulls it, goes on eBay for me, and prints everything out. So it really is a family affair here. My sons help with it as well. So
sure.
Yeah,
that's good because someday when you're doing it full time, you're going to need those assistants for
need
sure.
that help, yeah.
I was just thinking about this morning. I'm like, man, I'm starting to get to the point where it's just I can't even do it in my 8-hour day anymore. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see where it goes from there. I haven't decided if I want to start going to higher dollar cards. So I'm doing less labor activity. And as I sell some of the lower ones, put that into some higher stuff. When I'm talking higher, I'm talking like $5 to $10 cards. Okay, so settle down, everybody. And I would never go away from low end by any measure because I still believe it's your best margins. It's the easiest way to move cards, and you're protected a lot more against a down economy. So the conservative, whoa, Charlie, just glow in the dark there.
Nothing changed, and all of a sudden it's just changed the lighting of my camera.
Spotlight's on, buddy. You better be ready.
Yeah.
Perform.
It's Stu messing with stuff.
Probably, Stu's minions. But yeah, that's when I said, hey, it's gonna be kind of a free for all tonight. I didn't get a chance to really work on the show tonight. That was something that I kind of mentioned, like how to manage time. And I know we beat that to death, but I think you have to. Like it constantly changes, and I have my own website that I purchased now, and I want some time to try to build that. And there's only so many hours in the day. So to some degree, everybody says, "Oh, you work from home. That's great. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want." Well, that's not really true either. Like, there's certain things that I have to get done, and I'm the only one to do them. So you're pretty fortunate that you've got some people that can kick in on that as well and help you when you need it. And I'm sure my people here would, but I'm a bit of a control freak, and then they also have their own stuff to do. So that's where that comes in for me, anyway. Thought Stu was inspired by Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween.
Could be. Dun 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 dun.
Mm-hmm. What's
You're still going with the what's up?
Forever. Plus, I think you don't like it, so that makes me want to do it even more.
I just don't like doing it.
It's just, oh, really? It's fun. Anyway, okay, enough of that. Let's see. D-Man, he obviously watched my card show video, which is awesome. Thanks so much for watching. I saw you pick up, it looked like 2 soccer cards from the one guy in the video and was shocked you didn't hesitate when he said $2 for 2 cards. I was wondering what they were and what value they are. So, ironically enough, I just listed those. I was just telling Charlie about soccer was one of my big objectives at this show because I don't get a lot of soccer where I'm at, but these are literally the 2 cards right here. So this one is Erling Haaland. If you don't know who Erling Haaland is, then you definitely don't know soccer because he's, other than Messi and maybe Ronaldo, this is the biggest name in soccer.
And a Topps Chrome?
Yeah, it's Topps Chrome Bundesliga, which is a German soccer league. When he played there. So this was the year before. He was a rookie this past year with Manchester City, the greatest team in the world of sport, just so you know.
Some people say that.
I'm a bit of a fan. Anyway, I did get to see him play live. I'm going to mention that every time I talk about Erling Haaland because it was one of my favorite moments in my life. I got this really cool picture when he let his hair down. He's got this like blonde hair that just goes on forever. He's like 6'7" in a soccer field. I mean, he looks like he's 3 times the size of everybody else. It's interesting. The Victor Wembanyama of soccer, if you watch basketball at all. Anyway, yeah, this is a base card, so nothing super fancy that way, but it is when he was with Borussia Dortmund, so not a rookie card, but it was before he went to Manchester. And I get $6, $7 for these. So when he said 50 cents, yeah, I was pretty excited about that. I just didn't expect to see him in a little section of soccer at this guy's table that said cheap soccer cards. So usually when I see that, it's a bunch of players that are no names. Maybe there's some color there, but soccer has so many leagues. There's so many players you can't make money on. Even rookies, it's probably more prospecting than baseball is. If you're going to try to get into some of that. The other one was Jude Bellingham, who is just lighting it up right now. He just had a goal a winning goal in the last minute of a game. He's at a Champions League team now. I'm trying to think what team he went to. Manchester United, maybe. But anyway, big name. I think he's going to be the captain of England when that squad kind of turns over. So he might be the captain in the next World Cup. Right young player. And this is some call it a second year card, but it's really a rookie card for him in this league with Borussia Dortmund. So yeah, I'm gonna get $10 for this card. So I got $16 worth of cards here. I got for $1. Yeah, so I was very excited about that. That's not something that I find at a show normally. And most people are not buying and opening Topps Chrome Bundesliga. It's not like a super, So I did buy a bunch. You probably also saw in the video I bought a bunch of Stadium Club Chrome, cards. Here's Messi. Oops, this one. Messi. I bought a bunch of those. Bought some Mbappe's. Upside down.
So now
Mbappe's.
We were talking earlier. Who's the greatest soccer player ever? Was it Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo?
It's literally this guy right here, Lionel Messi. Don't get it twisted. Um, I hate those greatest ever debate type things because it's so,
They're all great. I mean,
yeah. And I think, how do I get out of the private now? Here we go. Um, but I think I think it's hard to compare some of those generations, right? Because like, there's a fair argument that it's Pele. There's a fair argument that it's David Beckham. Change the way you hit the ball. Um, bend it like Beckham, right? Um, all those guys have a significant impact on the game, but I would say like just overall skill and what someone can do with a ball and read a field, I don't see anybody coming close to Messi. But most of that comes down to an opinion too. He obviously has the numbers, he has the wins, he's got the league championships, he's got the Ballon d'Ors. He just won another one this year, which is, for those who don't know soccer, Ballon d'Or is like the MVP for the sport, not just for the Italia League or the Bundesliga or whatever, like for the entire sport of soccer. So that's kind of a big deal. That's like 300 and some different teams that are considered professional soccer teams. But anyway, I don't know. I think it's just tough to match somebody like that. They just won the World Cup. He's the
I
captain
honestly
for
don't have a dog
Argentina.
in that fight. I've only seen
Right.
Messi play. I don't know if I've ever seen Ronaldo play. I just
Ronaldo's
like instigating that argument. Like, we have a coaches weekend every December, and it always comes up. Someone will say Jordan or LeBron or Kobe, and I love to stick something in there and say, well,
yeah. There's some debate. I don't think there's any debate between Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo for who's the best. I don't know very many people that would say Cristiano Ronaldo's the best ever.
yeah,
He has a huge, social media following. He's a good dude. He's got a lifetime contract with Nike. That has his own shoes, and like he's got a lot of the things that fit. But I don't. Watch some tape of Messi, watch some tape of Ronaldo, and then you can make your own decision. That's what I'll say.
yeah.
But it's like, that's like comparing Jim Brown to Barry Sanders to Christian McCaffrey to, I don't know. I'm trying to throw some other sports in there so people can get a feeling of, oh, I get it. Yeah, those are two totally different things. I'd say it's got to be Pele and Messi, but Pele basically invented the modern sport, and Messi has perfected it. I guess would be how I view it. Urethra likes Mariah Carey and my shirt. I'm sure she didn't say she likes my shirt, but I know she does.
All I know is it's good that you like it, because
she can shake it.
All she wants for Christmas is you.
That's right. And she's good. She's gonna get it, let me tell you. Valley Box Ticker says Rangers are only 2.5 innings away from their first World Series win. Well, congratulations to them. I don't know a single player on the Rangers team.
I was kind of rooting for the Diamondbacks. I liked the Corbin Carroll kid.
Yep.
He's
sold a Corbin Carroll card today.
Yeah. I sold one of his auto rookies last week. It was a nice sale.
Oh yeah, I don't have anything like that. I sold a Sports Illustrated for Kids rookie.
Oh, okay.
That I got out of the magazine myself. So basically, pure profit. But
yeah.
I'm hoping I did subscribe. I'm hoping my first issue shows up pretty soon.
I might. I haven't jumped on that train. I know you did. But I was in our local Barnes and Noble last week one day, and I was like, oh, before I'll leave, I'll just see if there's an issue on the rack, and I'll grab it, and then maybe I'll think about subscribing if I like what I see in there. But not a single one out there.
Gee, I wonder who bought them.
I know, right? It's card orders that are.
You can leave that game for me because I love my SI for Kids. I actually bought some SI for Kids stuff out of those quarter boxes this past weekend.
Yeah.
Some earlier
So this is not a true SI for kids, but I just sold this as we were starting the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I was starting to get it ready to ship out tonight. But that's from a regular set. It's a SI for kids.
Yeah, it's just an insert. Yeah, it was an insert. There's Brady in that too that does fairly well. I've sold quite a few of them. Urethra would love to meet the ladies when you can plan ahead for a couples episode, perhaps.
Hey, I'll tell you
might be. I think that might be more possible, just from my perspective, like after the holidays, the dead of winter type of thing.
Here's what I would tell you too, because we have had a conversation about this. One of the more, I'm kind of looking through some cards to find somebody that would be a good example. But my wife does not really pay attention to sports, right? Like she knows some of the Packers, some of the Brewers, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So she knows none of the names. And as a family, sometimes we'll buy a mega box or a hobby box and even a blaster sometimes. And we'll sit around, or we'll buy a couple blasters and we'll sit around and split them up and just do like a family rip and see who comes up with the best hits, right?
Sure.
So what's super entertaining is because my wife doesn't know any of the names, she mispronounces most of them.
Sure.
And
buy her some soccer.
Like this Turdell Middleton card, she would come out probably say something like Turdell Middletown and Chester Mark Hole. Something like that. It's
right on.
And some of the more difficult names get truly entertaining. So we've talked about, I think we need to have you do a rip one time on YouTube because it's super entertaining.
That could be fun, yeah. Yeah, well, maybe around the holidays that might be the right time to involve the family. Because same thing, we don't watch any sports here. I watch a little soccer here and there, but we don't watch. The Packers are in town. I can't tell you the last time I watched a Packer game.
Yeah,
it's just not something we're into. We have a lot of other things that we do. So kind of interesting that I sell sports cards for a living and I don't watch any sports, but I like the economy of it. I like the business of it. I like the fact that you can get in for a penny or you can get in for $12 million. I like that. I like that range. I believe there's a lot of growth left in it. Sports are big. I also like the fact that it's not just baseball, football. There's a lot of other stuff. You can get rugby cards. You can get Saddam Hussein cards. Non-sport stuff. There's.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so. I'll show her. Oh, hey, look how cool this card is. And she'll say, oh yeah, that one's really cool. I like the little window with the player in it. So we'll share a little bit of that, or if I get a big hit out of a box, when I pulled the 2 Purdy autos, I was telling her, and she's like, "How much do those sell for?" I'm like, this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. You should sell this one and hang on to this one.
My wife always wants to look through what I bring home from a card show. She likes to check out the cards and offer her thoughts on them.
I try to pull like the things I feel like she would be interested in. Anytime I get what's his name, the magician. His name's eluding me right now. Yeah, Harry Houdini. I just watched the thing on Harry Houdini. But whenever I get Harry Houdini cards, because I always buy Harry Houdini when I find them, and I just got these. These were actually in the mail. Didn't get them at a show, but these are the sticker inserts from the Tiny Toon Adventures.
Right.
So this is Pinky, right, from Pinky and the Brain.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, "Where will we find a gorilla at this time of night?" You remember he always came up with those.
I didn't watch it a lot, but I do recognize.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking, Pinky? I am, but where are we going to find a gorilla this time of night? But what if the snake doesn't fit in my lederhosen? Stuff like that.
Nice.
But anyway, so I like to share some of that stuff, and the music cards. She thinks those are pretty cool. We'll take a look at a bunch of those, and yeah, so it's fun. Yeah, well, we will try our best to get them on. at some point. I'm sure we'll get it to happen. Urethra says, I definitely don't know soccer, and that's such a missed opportunity for me considering how huge that sport is worldwide. So here's what I'd say about soccer. Try to stick to probably the bigger names that you hear regularly, and then you can kind of grow from there once you have some investment in it. Because it is so many leagues, there's different sets, there's um, the rookies are measured different between different leagues, things like that. Try to stick with Champions League products. So to complicate things even further, there's all these different leagues, and then there's the Champions League, which is like the big tournament of all the best teams from the leagues. So if you stick with that, you should get most of the bigger name players because they're on the bigger teams. You're going to get, Premier League stuff and that kind of thing, which is really what you want. Then you can start looking at, well, who's some up and coming players and getting some rookie cards. I sold a Marcus Rashford rookie card today, another star for the English team. His contract was just sold last year, or it might have even been just a few months ago. Playing much better on a new team, and so a lot of things that apply in like a basketball or a football or a baseball kind of work the same way in soccer. The contracts work a little bit differently, but there are times when players are hotter than others, and watch some highlights if you don't get the games or anything. Watch some highlights and try to pick out some players that you like and go from there. The 2020, the big key to this is the 2026 World Cup's going to be in America.
Yeah.
So while a lot of other countries do not sell a lot of cards, there's not a lot of card collectors in those countries. A lot of them collect stickers. The Americans definitely collect cards, and I think that World Cup is really going to blow up soccer cards even further. I think it's definitely the biggest sport in the world, and I think it has the most room to grow besides in cards. So that's quite a combination. Like I said, I already sell the big star cards actually sell better than most of the other sports, like dollar wise. I sold a base Donruss Kylian Mbappe today. Not a rookie card, just a base Donruss, right? Very basic product for $6. And I have a stack of them. I got like 10 or 12 of them. I mean, you can't sell a base Donruss Tom Brady for $6. You can't sell a base Donruss LeBron James for $6. There's just there's not as many sellers of it. There's good products out there and stuff. So yeah, I highly suggest you at least sprinkle some of it in there. And if you're not going to, if you don't want to get into it real heavy, that's fine too. I do a little bit of WWE. I'll pick up a few UFC cards if it's names I know, that I can get cheap enough where I don't really have to look into it too far for an investment. Do some music, it's good to have a little bit of that dabble, and maybe you'll grow it from there once you see how things go.
It does. I've been trying to learn more about the soccer market as well, and it does take some time with all the different leagues, and there's so many players, and as soon as I think I'm onto a player, I find out they were popular a couple years ago, and they're no longer at the top of the game. But it's just because I'm so disconnected from the sport. It's challenging to really learn a new sport for this type of market. It takes a little time.
And like I said, you have to kind of watch for transactions too. Like Harry Kane, who's the captain for the English team, so he's obviously a big name, veteran player. But this past year, he got sold from Tottenham to Bayern Munich, which is like the best team in the German league. And they're dominating right now. He's scoring more goals. He's got I would say a better team than Tottenham. Actually, Tottenham had a decent team, but so it's making him stand out again a little bit. He's on the biggest team in one of the biggest leagues, scoring goals or winning. I've sold a ton. Actually, I have a Harry Kane card to ship tomorrow too. The guy who bought the Rashford also bought that, and I've been selling a lot more Harry Kane stuff lately. I've been buying it all along, but it's a one here, it's a one there, especially once it gets to the World Cup, and England is usually very competitive in the cup and stuff. But yeah, so it's it has some things that are like the other main sports, but it has some things that are very different, and that also can create extra opportunities that you don't have in some of these other sports. They also kind of play year round, like they don't really have an off season, so because they play all these different cups, so you might have okay, well, this player plays for this team in the Premier League, then they make it to the Champions League because they're good enough, then they play in that, then they play in the Europa Cup, and then they're on their national team, so then they play in the World Cup qualifying matches, and then so it's not a sport. It's not a sport where there's a lot of significant injury where you got to have 4 months off to sort of recover to get back to the new league and things like that. It kind of keeps going. You just sort of have to keep track of where they're playing and what's going on with it. And there are injuries. That's the other thing. Like anything, of course, you have Ansu Fati. I think it's like his fourth or fifth year in the league now. He was this huge touted rookie coming into the league, was scoring all these goals in like the U19 or like the under professional leagues and stuff, and had a huge injury, major injury. He was out for an entire season and just tanked the prices because he wasn't playing. The hype was just completely wiped out. So
sure.
just like any sport, you gotta kind of watch for that a little bit too. Yes, I was assuming it would be implied that I love your shirt. You want to see it again, just in case? You want to see it, Charlie? Here, wait. I'll do this so you can see it better.
Mariah Carey. I'm a sucker for Mariah Carey Christmas music as well. So
all right, good.
You're not getting under my skin with that.
Good. I'd love to hear if they had any favorite non-sports cards as kids. We gals all love New Kids on the Block. I stumble on some New Kids on the Block once in a while. I generally, for those overproduced card sets, I generally only buy like the sticker inserts and stuff.
Yeah.
But they're like the first cards in the sets. Usually in those are like, I want to call them character cards. In that case, they'd be band member cards. But there's like a Joey card and a from like the first few cards. So like 90210 is the same way, right? They have one for each character, main character in the show, and then it's like all the other cards are like scenes from the show and things like that. And then there's the sticker cards. So I kind of stick to sort of the main cards for individual sale, and then the stickers.
My wife got pretty excited over that. Yeah,
I think that's a sticker, right?
This one is actually a card, I believe. Yeah, because it's got the
puzzle. So that's like his.
Stuff.
That's his character card.
Yeah.
I think that's a sticker.
I don't think so. Oh, you're right. It does say
Peel in the
corner.
Yeah.
It was kind of hidden in one of the designs.
Yeah, and usually the sticker cards are puzzle pieces on the back because you'd peel the sticker off and do something with it, and then the card still had value because you could turn it over and make the poster.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So
yeah, she gets excited about stuff like that, and some of the old TV show stuff that we had, like where I got it here, a little bit of Elf.
Nice.
She gets excited when she sees stuff like that too.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Bree was really excited when I had got all the Return to Oz stuff.
Yeah.
She remembers watching that as a kid. I got a big sticker set of that. Yeah, I mean, it's not just the gals who love the
baby. You got all of them there. Look at that. Who was not a fan?
Hot. I like the hats. I like the hat. That's nice.
Who was that? Was that? Oh, I would have guessed that was the Wahlberg one, but that's not him.
Yeah, I don't follow any of that, but yeah, I remember I had two.
You're a huge New Kids fan.
I had two sisters, so I had to watch that damn VHS tape of their because that's what they used to do. They would like once a year they would release a VHS tape of their concert highlights or whatever. And I had to watch that damn thing over and over and over again. Yeah. So anyway.
I was an only child in our house, so I didn't have to deal with any of that.
You didn't have to face that.
Yeah.
Bill, I'm going to say this wrong. Siamus. I'm going to go with that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Give me some phonetic spelling if you want me to pronounce it correctly. You guys ever send out through the mail autographs? First of all, welcome. Thanks for tuning in tonight. I do not. I did as a kid. I don't do that now. I'd rather just sell the cards to people who want to do that. I'd take my profit out of that. If I did that, I would have to want the card if I did that, because you shouldn't resell those. They're not authenticated. You don't know who actually signed it because you're not there in person. I did get a Mark McGuire signed photo back years ago, but I always question it. I don't know if it's auto pen, if somebody really signed it. I'm not going to send it in to authenticate it. I mailed it as a kid. I'm pretty sure I sent him a card. I can't imagine I wouldn't have. And then what came back was his photograph. So I don't know if they just have a stack of them and just sling them out. And maybe he did sign them. That was probably back when signatures weren't as big a deal. I question a lot now with these guys. They don't have to sign stuff to make real money and stuff. I don't know. No, so I don't do that. Do you do any of that, Charlie?
I've never done a mail autograph. No, I've never even actually at a ball game asked somebody to sign something.
Yeah.
I did recently. Actually, I think this was my second time I had someone sign something in person for me. Was just a couple months ago at a wrestling event. I had Tatanka and Badass Billy Gunn sign a couple cards for me. Prior to that, I think I was like an 8-year-old kid in Milwaukee, and Larry Heisel of the 70s Brewers came around to the field house I lived by and signed stuff for all of us kids.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to go over to St. Norbert College. I think we talked about this before, where all the Packers stayed during the preseason workout stuff, like mini camp stuff.
Yeah.
And we'd catch them when they were coming back from practice and stuff. And I probably had 30 Favre signed cards.
Nice.
I kept a few of them. I sold most of them to our local card shop or traded them for packs. I got $5 for them or something at the time. But I have the memories, getting it signed in person is that I would do. I just mailing it out. No, I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna do that. I know there's lots of people who are into that collect them, and at the National, you'll see people with binders full of mail away cards signed. But as somebody who's selling cards, I would be extremely leery of selling something like that. And then if it's not authenticated, and you don't get much money for it unless it is authenticated, and so I don't really want to play that game. And I feel like the players I would want signatures of, they're not going to sign them. They're going to charge a lot. So if I send a card to Joe Burrow, he's not going to sign it. Why would he? I wouldn't if I was him. So
as I think about it, I'm actually right over my laptop in front of me. I've got a Tim Dillard Milwaukee Brewers card set aside that I actually was watching a game earlier this year, and he does color commentary for the local Brewers network. And I thought, that'd be a card. Maybe it'd be fun to send in to him. I'm pretty sure he'd sign it. And if I put in a self-addressed envelope with postage, he'd send it right back to me. So I actually have thought about it. I just never pulled the trigger on it.
I actually have maybe I'll show this off one of these days. I don't know. Probably when I get it down to my new office. But I actually have quite a few celebrity cards signed. I always choose to get cards signed. But they're Star Wars actors. I have Jim Lee, who's the Batman artist. I have Weird Al Yankovic. I have a few of his signatures because I did an event with him. I'm trying to think what the other. I have Stan Lee. That's probably my favorite autograph. I got that in person. Signed on my Star Wars Club card. We made a card of him because he's an honorary member. It's a pretty unique autograph that way. Let's see. I'm trying to think of who else, but a bunch of different actors. I don't have Alec Guinness. He passed before that was something I could get, but Those were pretty much all in. I think they were all in person. They're all in person, or they might have been pack pulled because I used to buy Star Wars cards too. But yeah, I don't. If I want an autographed card of Joe Burrow, I'll buy an autographed card of Joe Burrow. That's authentic. That's authentic pack pulled. I don't think I would want to do it through the mail. Eureka says great starter tips for soccer. Thanks. Yeah, you're welcome. The overall tip is if you're going to buy any product, make sure it's Champions League. Don't buy La Liga products. Don't buy Bundesliga unless you really know what you're doing. Buy Champions League, and you should get all the bigger names of the bigger teams. And that's that's a starting point.
I try to learn soccer from Adam as well, and he's taken me from a knowledge level of 0 to a 0.5 so far.
Yeah, and you're not going to be interested in everything. I don't know much about UFC, and I don't have any interest in it, so I'm not going to force it either. I have enough other stuff that I need to grow, knowledge in, and it was something I'll add more in later. I did find a very early Amanda Nunez card in a quarter box. It was like a 2013, I think. And I've bought cards of hers before, and they've sold really well. Conor McGregor. No, not Conor McGregor. Yeah, Conor McGregor, right? He's UFC.
Yeah, he is.
If it's a name that stands out to me, I'll pick some up. But yeah, I don't know. People will be like, "Oh, they just won the belt." Oh, okay, I don't pay attention. But
the names change pretty frequently too.
Yeah, and if you can follow those news stories and you can pick up the cards at the right time, you can make money. I've said it 1,000 times. You can make money on any card. It just depends on what you paid for it. Bargain Boxer wants to know why he's here. Where is the goat? I'm the goat. Oh, you want to see the goat? Wait, hold on. The goat of Christmas.
I think someone might have something to say about that.
You think so? Who would say anything about that?
Somebody seems to think they're the goat.
That freaking goat. Charlie, do you realize we would have no show if we didn't have Stuart?
Absolutely not.
Pretty sure that's. I'm gonna wreck my shirt doing this. Look at that! I'm starting to get bacon collar.
Bacon collar, yeah.
Yeah, no one wants bacon collar. What happened to this? This was like a cheapy, like Old Navy shirt I got for like $5 a couple of years ago. I bought a super small size for my little person, and then bought obviously a much bigger size for me because we just love Mariah Carey. So it's fun. I wasn't even wearing this shirt today. I literally put it on before the show.
So you handpicked it for the show?
I did, yeah. What was I wearing this morning? Oh, I was wearing a Blizzard Force shirt, which is like the Hoth characters from Star Wars costuming group.
Okay.
I do a Wampa costume, so I have that from that. There's a Wampa on the back and stuff. Anyway, Jordan was my favorite. I'm assuming you mean Michael. So yeah.
Going back to
he's mine too. If there's an argument of GOAT, it would be Michael for me. So, but I look at it from more than like a lot of people are like, well, he had this many championships, and then I look at more the overall impact. Michael Jordan completely changed the way we looked at sport athletes. Had his own shoe. His brand is still the highest selling brand at Nike, and he hasn't played basketball in 20 years.
Right.
Well, that might be stretched, but a lot of years. You see that Jumpman logo, you're like, oh, that's Jordan. It's as identifiable as the swoosh for Nike.
Yeah.
There's a movie made about his shoe, and the way it changed the game. His contract was completely different than any player's contract before that. He won 3 championships, left the sport, came back, won 3 more. Never lost the title. Any title game, series he was in, he won them all.
There's been a meme going around again that something about somebody has a record for Game 7, and it's Pippen and Jordan talking, and Jordan's like, "What's a Game 7?
What's Game 7? Yeah, why would you need it? Why would it take you 7 games? What are you doing? What are you screwing around out there?" but it just, he was in a movie. He was the star of a movie with Bugs Bunny. Like, there's just all these things. I'm like Mike. I want to be like Mike. Like, there's a
Yeah.
song attached to him. Like, there is no athlete prior to him that had that kind of an impact. I mean, he did commercials for McDonald's. He had Gatorade. He had. I remember they would film him like driving to practice and driving
Yeah.
like just on a normal day. Like it was just different.
Now, in fairness, maybe Urethra was talking about Jordan from New Kids.
Nope, nope, nope. She was, but that's not what we're gonna address. That's
We're
all
not
we're
going to
gonna
delve
say.
more in the New
No,
Kids on the Block.
no, do
What about
not
98
give.
Degrees? Can we talk about 98 Degrees?
Wasn't that like one guy in the band and then like two guys that they found on the street or something that they were like, here, stand here. And this guy
Maybe,
sings, and I
maybe.
don't know. I don't know. Yeah, boys had to fan out in private. The next generation didn't have that problem, as NSYNC and Backstreet were huge with everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That sounds good. I don't really listen to any of that, but NSYNC was so. New Kids on the Block was big with my sisters when we were kids, and then like high school, college years, the girls were Backstreet and NSYNC and all that at that time. That's kind of how I remember the time frames. But I think they were mostly manufactured bands. They weren't like
They were. Yeah.
buddies who sang,
Super
and yeah,
produced. Yeah.
yeah. They didn't write any music, stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying none of them had talent. Some of them still have. Look at Justin Timberlake. He still has a pretty solid individual career. I just watched a movie with him in it the other day where he's a murderer. It's pretty amazing. He murders his girlfriend or something, but the police don't suspect him. But in the end, he ends. Well, I'm probably totally
That
spoiler alert now.
that was the sequel to Crimea River.
No, it wasn't a song. It was a movie. I can't remember the name of it now. I was just playing in the background, but I totally blew the ending. So anybody who wants to watch it, my bad. But it's just like Justin Timberlake. He's standing there with a gun. And I'm like, who the hell is this guy? But you know what he's really good in? Love
Saturday
Guru.
Night Live.
Love Guru. He plays
Uh,
he plays Jacques Lecoq.
yeah, I
And
was
he's
not a
still
huge fan of that one.
what? That's one of my favorite movies of all time. I'll punch you in the shirt. What did you do to my rooster? He had that horrible like Canadian French accent. And
That was Mike Myers, right?
yeah, yeah,
And it was after all the Austin Powers movies.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. A
It
French
was no
pizza.
what is it? How I Married an Axe Murderer or something like that.
Yeah, that one's okay, but Love Guru is much better.
Yeah.
He says, Prudence, I will make you the French pizza. It's a Pop Tart with ketchup.
There are some good
Yeah.
lines.
Anyway,
I'll give you that.
enough of that. Hey, look, there's the Jordan logo. I know that because I know what the
Jumpman.
logo looks like. Jumpman. Mariah Carey is my favorite female singing, and Michael Jackson is my favorite male singer. Pretty solid choices. I think Mariah Carey's pretty far up there for me, obviously. Male singers, I'm a little different on because I look more at like metal and stuff like that. I think my favorite voices for men would be Axl Rose, in his prime anyway, and Kurt Cobain.
Yep.
Because those two bands had a lot of influence on me. So I mean, I look more at those voices. Mariah Carey is just more my fun music, and her range. I mean, her voice is something.
She's something today, that's for sure.
Yes. I mean, it is Mariah Carey Day, so Bill says he sold a card to Bobby Witt Jr. on eBay a little over a month ago and ended up sending in a self-addressed stamped envelope with it, a personalized note, and his rookie card to hopefully get back. That's pretty cool. I've sent cards to athletes before. I sent a card to Leroy Butler, who's a Packers legend. Um, I had a bigger card. I'm not going to say what card it is, but that I sold a while ago to the guy who played Freddie Mercury in the movie. What's his name? I always forget his name.
Rami Malek.
Rami Malek, yeah. I had to send it to his production studio. He owns a production studio in like New York, New Jersey area or something. I had to send it there, and his secretary signed for it. So that was pretty cool. It was a bigger dollar. It was a much bigger dollar card than I normally sell. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, celebrities, athletes, they collect too.
I have not sold one to a confirmed celebrity, but I had one that was addressed to the Mud Pigs, a minor league team in Pennsylvania. So it must have been a player on the team or some staff member or something.
Sure. Yeah, it's the more you do this, the more you'll. A lot of times I'm like, it happens a lot with vintage. Okay, so like I'll sell let's say the guy's last name is Sudeikis, right? Of the player, like let's say it's Bob Sudeikis. I'm making something up. I don't even know if that And then like the buyer of the card is like John Sudeikis, so it's like a grandson or you know what I mean, a nephew or something. That's like I want some cards. My it's like that. It's just pretty too coincidental to not have some sort of relation, likely, for a common player,
Well, I just realized I screwed up that minor league's name. It wasn't the Mud Pigs; it's Iron Pigs, I think.
Iron Pigs.
It's a cool name.
It's a great name. Yeah, that's actually a great name. Sounds like a metal band or something.
It does, right?
Like an Ozzy Osbourne song, Risa says, "Hey Adam, just a suggestion. Maybe put your first name next to Dollar Box. You rarely ever mention your name, and as long as I've been watching until Charlie said it, I was drawing a blank. LOL." Yeah, maybe I would do that with the videos. I really want my business to be my identity more than anything else. I'm not really on here as for personal, like a personal reason type of thing. More to connect with customers and other sellers and viewers that way. But yeah, I could probably mention my name a little bit more often. I try to do that sometimes in video, like video videos, not the live here, but I'll say, hey, welcome to the Dollar Box. My name is Adam. This is what I do. Try to do that once in a while because when sometimes you forget you get new viewers. If they watch it, I go, yo, 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 YouTube, here's my take on doing this. They'd be like, who is this guy? Like, what is this? So I try to have, some of that in an intro on occasion. But I want people to think of me as the Dollar Box, not Adam, if that makes sense. Which they do. If you watch my card show video, when Nick stops me, and I know his name, but he didn't know my name right away. As I'm walking past, he goes, "The Dollar Box," and I'm like, "Yep," because that's kind of the identity I want to carry in cards anyway. Charlie's just Charlie. He doesn't need anything else. Charlie's the man. Coach Charlie, we're gonna call you. I mean, yeah, Stuart is Stu. I mean, I guess we don't really have anything else for Stuart. The goat, obviously. The goat of goats.
Yes, goat of goats. Sometimes we get lost on a little rabbit goat hole about him.
Yeah, the rabbit goat hole. It's still good. That's still good. I meant Jordan from New Kids. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's move on. Michael Jordan and Mike Tyson were superstars. They still are. Mike Tyson stuff. If you can get a hold of Mike Tyson cards, I bought. I'm going to give away my entire video tomorrow at some point here today. But I found some KO boxing cards. Remember the KAYO cards?
No.
And I got like Sonny Liston. You don't remember those? They only made them for like 1 or 2 years. It was in the early 90s. They made a card of everything, including Scud missiles. But they had this KO boxing series, and there's a Roy Jones Jr.'s rookie card is in there. There's like a Sonny Liston card. He doesn't really have any cards. There's a bunch of great boxers in that. So I was pretty psyched that I found some of those. I found some of those in Bo's quarter boxes actually.
I know you.
So I
I
bought a
think you
few out of
pulled
there.
the Tyson out of my dime
I
box
did.
at the
Yeah.
last show.
Yeah. Super glow. I found a box of super glow at a shop a while ago. That stuff's expensive. It's like $300 for a box of super glow. I'm like, I'm not paying $300 for that.
I still want to expand on my Sandlot collection. I've got 3 of the guys so
Same.
far, but
Yeah, those are ones that I would like to just have and display because they're pretty cool. Let's see. I'm fine with MD Sports is with us. Thank you. I'm fine with discussing Jordan or LeBron as the GOAT, even though it's clearly
oh, it's gonna say
LeBron.
go.
LeBron. Just don't put a Kobe anywhere near that conversation. I think a lot of it is just matters of opinion for the most part when you're talking GOATs between generations. Usually within a generation, it's fairly obvious. Like so we've got Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, right? Well, you can't say Josh Allen is better than Mahomes because he doesn't ever beat him. Well, actually, that's false. I think Buffalo was beating them for a period of time, right? And now they can't beat them. I don't know, something like that.
But
Mahomes has a Super Bowl.
not even a sniff of a Super Bowl from Josh Allen.
Right.
That's the difference right now.
Yeah, so you can't be like, well, the game was different then, they threw less, and when you're comparing like times in the game, it becomes a little bit more obvious who's the better player. Poor Axel, he's lucky Guns N' Roses fans are so loyal. His voice is there are no words to explain how bad it is now. Yeah, I had a friend who saw them like in Kansas or something like that a couple weeks ago, and they said he sounded great. They do have a new single out, by the way.
Yeah.
And I like it. It's pretty good, but I mean, you can make anything sound good. Luckily, they didn't auto tune him or do something really stupid, but yeah, I mean, he's older, and that to sing the way he sings, that it's kind of a falsetto. I don't know how much you know about vocal. My dad was a vocal teacher, but the way he sings, it's a certain thing he does to his voice and things like that where like same thing happens to screamers in metal and stuff over time. There's just a strain on the vocal cords, and as you age, it's like everything in your body kind of breaks down a little bit. I just don't like some of the higher stuff that Axel used to do, some of the longer notes he would carry, things like that. I just don't think that at the age he's gotten to now, and I'm sure he's damaged it to some degree with drugs and alcohol and all those other fun things.
Right.
Yeah, he's not in that great a shape, although he's in much better shape than he was. But yeah, I did not expect him when I heard him when he was 19, 20, and 21 years old on those first albums. I did not expect him to be able to sound that way when he was 70. So I think we have to sort of keep our expectations, realistic on stuff like that too.
Yeah.
I love Guns, would not pay to hear the Dying Cat though.
My kids have actually grown up with an appreciation of Guns and AC/DC because I was always playing them around the house.
Yeah, it's funny. I saw you changed your profile picture and you had done Slash.
Yeah.
And I went. I don't know if you know this, but it was a while ago now. But I went to Slash one year for Halloween.
Did you?
Yeah, I had like arm tattoos, and I had the hat, and I did the nose ring, and yeah, I mean it's had a bottle of Jack Daniels I carried around with me, and it's fun. Flipping Sports has joined us. Welcome. He says, "Hey boys." Whoa, Aretha Franklin likes sports. Imagine that. Hey, she says, hey to Flippin', goat holes and goat throats. It's getting very dollar box after dark in here. Yeah. Dollar box after dark.
That might be a new show idea.
like the dollar box red shoe diaries.
Right.
We could go a lot of directions with that. Broncos beat the Chiefs last week. The last time the Broncos beat the Chiefs, Obama was president. Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah. So the way I look at stuff like that is a lot of times I think when a team is obviously better than another team, I don't think they put their best foot forward. They probably didn't put the best plan in place. They're like, man, we'll run these plays. It'll be fine. Sometimes in a sport like this where there's high injury and it can cost you money if you get injured, I think some of the players pull off a little bit. I don't want to get hurt in the game against the Broncos. We got to play the Eagles next week or whatever. And I'm not saying by any measure that anybody threw the game or anything like that. I think there isn't quite as much drive to do something, and sometimes you just have a crappy game.
Yeah.
I played at a fairly high level in soccer with some other really talented players, and I can tell you, I had games where I was just like, "What the hell is he doing?" And I played with other players where I was like, "What the hell is he doing?" Personal lives don't go away just because you have a game that day. There's you maybe have the flu, you don't feel that great, but you need to play. You got an ailing finger. Well, you're not going to see that when you're watching TV. You can't tell that
Right.
their finger is broken, but they can. So I kind of feel like once in a while there's just a stinker. San Francisco losing 3 weeks in a row to teams that aren't as good as them, that's unexcusable. One loss in there would have been, oh, that's completely acceptable. It's going to happen. There's a reason there's only ever one undefeated team in the NFL in history. So would I because of this result would I say the Broncos are better than the Chiefs? No, I would not. So,
By the way, breaking news: the Texas Rangers are your World Series champions.
they won the whole World Series? I thought that was just game 1.
No, this was game 5.
Game 5. Wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Well, congratulations, Texas Rangers. Walker, Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
Is Nolan Ryan there? Is he there to hoist the cup?
Probably was in the stands.
Yeah, I would think so. He's waited a long time for that because I think he's like part owner or something like that too.
I think
Him
so.
and
Yeah.
George Bush, right? Doesn't George Bush own part of it? Or
he used
did?
to.
Yeah.
I don't know anymore.
There are plenty of rockers who have adjusted well to age limitations. Maybe the band could tune down a half step and Axel will adopt a lower register, but I'm no vocal coach. And I think they do. Like from the clips that I've seen. Yeah, from the clips that I've seen, he's not pushing it as much as possible. But is that really what the audience wants either? I want to hear, you want to hear that. It's that type of music where you need the, I don't know. It's just tougher as you get older.
And fun fact, they already are tuned down a half step. Most of the rockers in like the 80s and 90s with screamers will tune down a half a step. I just know that because I play guitar and I play some stuff. Because it accentuates that screamer singer. So they are already tuned down half a step. But Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, I'm sure, has some good comments about Axel's voice.
Yeah. I just don't have the expectations I had when he was a younger man, and the stuff he would do with his voice. Try to do what he does. Try to do it for like 2 hours, and then try to do it again the next night for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot harder than people really realize. Even if you're just singing along with the radio, trying to sing the way he sings, I think that kind of happened to Robert Plant too. You listen to him now, he sings a lot lower than he used to, and he's not his voice isn't as falsetto as Axel's is. Nor does he scream as much. But yeah, I mean, we can debate this all day long. Does he sound as good as he used to? No, you are absolutely correct. We are in complete agreement.
Remember when he had like the broken foot or whatever, and he would perform just sitting in a big chair?
That was Dave Grohl.
No, Axel.
Or maybe Axel did it too. Dave Grohl did it too. Dave Grohl fell off the stage and finished the show, and then he ended up getting like a throne. Got like a throne or something that he would do shows in with his big boot and all.
Yeah.
Musicians obviously don't have the risk that athletes do, and we're talking about bringing it back to cards here. But they certainly have risk. They can certainly get injured.
Yeah.
I went to speaking of guys getting older and voices changing, and this was a while ago now, but I went to a Aerosmith concert, and I had a seat that was like side stage. So it was really interesting because I could see everything that was going like on the stage with the band and all that, but I could also see like when they would go through the curtain to the back. And Steven Tyler would like do a song or do his part, and there was a guitar solo. He would run out there and then take oxygen and then go back out there. And his voice had already changed at that point too. I mean, he had to been, gosh, what is he now? He's got to be close to 80, right? Or maybe even older than that. He's
Yeah.
up there because I mean they came out in the 70s, so he was probably in his late 50s or something when I saw him. Um, Props to him. He ran around the stage. He had all his scarves. He did all his thing, but it was like at 21, was he running off the stage to get oxygen? I'm guessing probably not.
Talking about all these, vintage acts now. Just this morning, I bought some tickets for the family to go see Creed on tour
Oh,
next
geez.
summer. Yeah, they're starting their tour in Green Bay, and we're a big Creed household for whatever reason. But because one of my son's name
Yeah,
is
you
Creed,
named a kid after Creed.
he
Yeah,
of course adopted them as like his band, so
sure.
he's super stoked about it. But I'm curious how they will sound today versus a decade ago.
Well, and he has abuse issues.
Yep. Yep.
Big alcoholic, which tends to play havoc on vocal cords. So
Yep.
yeah, you'll find out, I guess. Now, I don't think their stuff is as challenging as what Axel does, but
No, no.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny when you see bands come back together and it's like, oh, they'll sound exactly like they did 20. Do you sound like you did 20 years ago? I doubt it. Do you look like you did 20 years ago? I doubt it. Yeah.
Well, I like this one.
Yeah. You like to stick it to me with the Purdy. Are we seeing the real Brock Purdy? Yeah, I think he won what 16 games in a row, something like that. Yeah, that wasn't going to continue. I'm sure some teams have figured out a few things. He's coming down around to the second round of playing some of those teams, and I think McCaffrey was out for one of the games or one and a half of the games, so I'm sure
Yeah.
that changed a lot of what they had to do. I think wasn't Debo out one of the games too.
Yeah, he might have been.
So other than Kittle, he was kind of short on some weaponry a little bit. But we'll see. Again, I think kind of going back to the Chiefs Broncos comment, I think they're kind of like, you sort of slug through the middle of the year and just try not to get hurt, and make sure you're still winning enough games that you're in first in the division, and you let a few slide. If you can get through without injury, take a break. Get your week off in there somewhere, and athletes are much smarter about how to protect themselves now, and I think sometimes they do it in their play. The money only comes if you can play the game. So, yeah, but yeah, I mean he's thrown some more interceptions than he has and things like that. But I certainly wouldn't say that he's not.
I would just say props to Brock Purdy. I think he's living his best life right now. Like
Mm-hmm.
he is making the most of a window of opportunity that I think will be relatively short in the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And hats off to him for it.
Yeah, I mean, you think about other quarterbacks they had, right? Garoppolo and stuff like that. I mean, if he plays up to par with Garoppolo, he's doing just fine. Like they should be
Yeah.
able to. Hopefully, he does better in the playoffs, Super Bowls, whatever. But I don't think he has to be any more than Brock Purdy. And my take on some of this is okay. This kid, when he got in, he was like, "I'm just going to do what the coaches tell me to do," because I wasn't expecting to play. He just throws his little dumb. Now he's starting to get a little bit more freedom to be involved a little bit more in how the play goes and stuff. And I think he's probably hey, I won 16 games in a row. I'm going to try to throw this one deep. Oh shoot, that shouldn't have done that. you know, so I think some of those growing pains are natural. Like Charlie said, I don't think this wasn't an expected opportunity for this young man. Um, he was thrown into that fire and did very well, and so I think he was trying to push it a little bit. Well, we need a little bit more downfield production. We need, because you can see in those last few games. Again, I don't watch the whole game, but I watch some highlights, and I'm like, those aren't throws he was making 4 or 5 weeks ago. So it's
Yeah.
like some of your weapons get taken away. That puts something on it, and then I think he was kind of trying to be a little more than Brock Purdy, and he's Brock Purdy. Um, he's not going to make a lot of Aaron Rodgers throws. He's not going to, have a lot of Josh Allen rushes. I mean, he's got to stay Brock Purdy. That's where I think Tom Brady really separated himself from all other quarterbacks in history. Was he did exactly what he had to do, and that was it. He didn't really try to push it much more than that, and he stayed within his talents, within his players, within his team, within his coaching, and it was successful over and over and over again. And he was disciplined, and he's disciplined in his health. He's disciplined in his physical routines and all that kind of stuff, and then also his gameplay, and it allowed him to win forever, essentially. So, um, I think if Brock can get through this and get back to, I gotta just do what I can do and listen to the coaches, and he has a great coaching staff. He's got a great defense. He doesn't have to do a ton. They can go 3-and-outs 3 times in a row, and that's okay with that team. Your defense might get you some points or better field position or whatever. And just play within what you're able to do and go from there. And who knows? Maybe there's something wrong with his arm. We don't know. Maybe that arm is acting up, or it's causing him some pain, or he's having to throw a little different because his shoulder's getting sore. I don't know. That's kind of a new procedure for an NFL quarterback. You don't see that one real often. So, I don't know. I still think they're the best team in the NFC. So, didn't the Eagles lose to some loser team this weekend too? They lost to Buccaneers or something. Because I remember looking at that like, oh man, they lost, and then I looked at that. Well, the other great NFC team is the Eagles, and they lost to somebody terrible too. Minnesota, was it Minnesota maybe? No, the Packers lost to Minnesota. I don't know.
I was playing it in airports most of the day.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of it. I don't follow. I follow Purdy a little bit because I ended up with some very fortunate, card pulls. Bought a little bit of Purdy, just a little bit, but so I wish the guy a lot of success from that angle. But have you seen any Guns trading cards? I know there was a South American Rock Series. There are no trading cards of Guns N' Roses that I am aware of. There's like Motley Crue and Winger and Bon Jovi, a bunch of those bands. Winger. Well, that popped in my head because it was in that same set. There's some of the bands are in like the Pro Set MTV series stuff. Some of them are in the Brockham, which is like the kind of 80s hair bands type stuff.
Yeah.
But it's really weird. Like Metallica has no cards, and I think Pearl Jam has one card out there. Nirvana doesn't have any cards. Like all these cards are being made in of weird stuff in like the late 80s, early 90s, and they didn't make cards of those bands. Like it's super weird.
But yet they made a flying pig card.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Well, that was Sports Illustrated for kids, but yeah. But yeah, I mean they made war cards. They made, yeah, it's interesting. Aretha says he sounded great with AC/DC. I'm assuming she means
that. All right. Yeah.
I think Dave gave Axel the throne or vice versa. Well, there you go. They shared a chair.
Yeah.
How cute. Let's see. Eagles pulled it all against the Skins. Deserved to lose, though. But I thought they lost to a not-so-great team the week before. You're right. This week they won, but I think it was last week I'm thinking of. Let's see.
You're looking to see what their last couple games were?
Yeah. Yeah, October 29th. Ooh, they play Kansas City in November. That's kind of fun. Why can't I see all their games?
I don't know.
I mean, they're 7-1, so they obviously lost a game, but I thought it was like to a really poor opponent. Yeah, I think I got
I
it.
do think you're right about that. Like, I do remember them. So they beat New England, they beat Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Washington,
They
and the
lost to the
Rams.
Jets. They lost to the
Yep.
Jets.
Yep.
They lost to the Jets, which nobody should be losing to the Jets this year. I mean, they had decent defense. They got a couple offensive weapons, but no quarterback. Anyway, my whole point in the whole thing of that is just that, yeah, you think, oh, well, you lose to Kansas City. Okay, that's respectable. How could you lose to the Jets? Well, they probably figured they weren't going to lose to the Jets. So you don't put quite as much into it. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, crap, 2 minutes left and we're down by a touchdown.
Was that the one with the punt return to win the game?
I have no idea. I'm not the person to ask for that. I just remember seeing that they had lost, and I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
I can check here.
Yeah, that might have been that last minute punt return.
Jets late interception. Brees Hall had running back TD stun Eagles. His NFL's last unbeaten falls. So no, it wasn't like a punt return or anything. Brees Hall had an 8-yard touchdown for them to win the game.
You mean the Jets won more than one game?
Let's see. The Jets have won 3. They're 3-3.
Look at that.
Well, they were 3-3 at that point. Now they're 4. They're actually 4-3. They have a winning record. Yeah, it's crazy. They're ahead of New England in the division.
I'm sure Belichick loves that.
I'm sure. He needs to just be done. He's had a career. He's over. Let it go. Anyway.
He's got to prove that
was it to the Jets?
Wasn't all his success.
Yeah, okay. Brady. So here's what I'd say about, was Brady the best, most talented quarterback in NFL history? I don't think anyone would say he was.
No.
But he's a winner. Some people win. They do what it takes to win, and he would do whatever it took to win. Sometimes that included letting air out of the footballs.
Way to get that in there.
Did I just do that? It's okay because I'm wearing Mariah Carey.
Yeah, that makes it all okay.
I can do fringe things tonight because I have Mariah Carey with me on my side. Jets snuck one in against the Giants. Such a brutal game. Yeah, I mean there's so much like parity in the NFL this year. Like all these teams that should be beating these teams are not, and I don't know. I mean, what's a good record for the year in the NFL? Like 13-4.
Yeah.
So at some point in there, you're the best team in the NFL. Let's say finishes 13-4. At some point, you got to lose 4 games. you got to have a loss in there.
At the 10-win mark, you start talking about being a bubble team for the playoffs, right? Like that's kind of where you're thinking I might be able to get in.
Yeah. So, and even at that, if you're a 10-win team, that means you lost 7 games. So you lost almost half your games. So that's, you got to have, unfortunately, like I said, with San Francisco, it seems to stand out because they lost 3 in a row. They won so many in a row, and then they lost so many in a row, and you go, what's going on with this
Yeah,
team? That's just kind of how it fell. I
the
think
horseshoe
more than
fell out of
anything.
their ass.
Yeah, right. Even yeah, that's one way to put it. Sure. But I think it was just that was their time for the losses, and they had 3 games in a row that they couldn't put it together, and
They are a really solid team, like
yeah,
overall, though.
it was funny because like the week before they had their first loss, we were like, they might be the only undefeated. They might be able to go undefeated. They're
Yeah,
so good. So
that
I
was a
think
little
that
premature.
yeah. And I wasn't shocked at all when they lost the game, but uh, I think that's what made it so shocking. Like, well, they're supposed to be this good. Now they lost 3 in a row, so Brock Purdy must not be any good. I don't know. I believe that. With liver parity, do we get an 8-9 team that sneaks a wild card? Sure. I don't. Why not?
It can happen, yeah.
I mean, a losing record and gets into the playoffs. I'm sure that is more than possible. So, um, let's see. Anything else we want to cover tonight, Charlie? We're getting at we got 2 hours and 16 minutes in here, so we're pretty
Yep,
solid in our time.
yep. We got a full night in. I think we talked about the couple of, even though we didn't have formal topics tonight, we talked about a couple of things that we jotted down. One thing we didn't talk about is what are some things that annoy us in this business. So I'll vent for a second because when I wrote it down, I was listing some cards and I was using a sell similar. And
Hmm.
what is it with all these custom fields people put on their listings? Like eBay just stopped putting that little number about on average, you should have this many fields filled in there because then people
Hmm.
just put goofy stuff in there and then I got to go delete it all.
There's a lot of YouTubers that talk about filling in. There's so much stuff in the fields you can put in that help searches that don't go in like it has to be in a custom field area, right? There isn't a
Right.
field for it. So yeah, you're right. You'll see a lot of junk, if you
Yep.
will, in there. I I haven't ever felt the need to expand beyond what I currently fill out because I don't have a problem selling cards. Like if
Yeah.
stuff wasn't selling, I'd go back and I'd be like, all right, well, I better put the team name in the, title, and I better do I better do this, I better do that. But cards sell just fine, with
Yeah.
what's there. So I don't know that you have to put a bunch of custom field information in to get a sale that you wouldn't have gotten. I don't know.
Even the non-custom fields like manufacturing country and they'll fill that in.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
Well,
know if this card was made in Thailand or the US. So I'm not going to leave that in there and then have someone hassle me because I had a listing that said something that wasn't accurate or
card
is it
size. Card size. It's four and
yeah,
4 3/4 by 2.5 by like.
yeah.
Why would you put that on there?
And the thickness, is it
You know.
20 or
Yeah.
25 or
Yeah.
32?
The point.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to measure everyone,
Right.
So, yeah,
If I
that's
see
probably
that
my
stuff,
biggest annoyance.
usually if I see that stuff in there, I just leave it.
Do you? I take it all out because I know that I'll want to likely use that again for a sell
But
similar. And
no one's gonna look at it anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's just like your description. No one cares.
that is what you say. And then you
Yeah.
get that one guy that's like, well, actually, this card is.
I don't get that, so I don't know. Yeah. I only get that if like I do it wrong. Like let's say I'm doing a bunch of Steve Young stuff and then I have a pile of Joe Montana stuff and I forget to change the name and the title on the next card or something.
Yeah.
And I'll get somebody that's not Steve Young, that's Joe Montana. I'm like, well, you're
Well,
right, and that
that's a
matters.
glaring issue,
That's a
though.
big one, right? So I'll have one like that once in a great 1,000 card while, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't see a bunch of that. I'll tell you, yeah, we had talked about that, talking about our biggest annoyance. You want to know what happened to me on, I think it was Monday, which is the worst day for it to happen because I just pack orders all day.
Hmm.
But the post office lady dropped off a stack of envelopes about this thick,
Yeah.
saying each envelope needed 43 cents more postage on it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that had happened to me once before. It was probably almost a good year ago now. And she just had a sticky note on it that said, every envelope needs 43 more cents. Perfect. I pulled the sticky note off. I put them all back in the mailbox. Done.
Yeah.
They all went through. This time she put a damn stamp on it. I said she. I shouldn't say she because I don't know who it was, but
yeah.
The employee put a stamp on every single one and wrote in there 43 cents, 43 cents. So I had to literally, on my biggest shipping day, which I'm normally run past 5 o'clock as it is, which is what my ending time I want to have, I had to go in and reprint every label, put the card in a new envelope, put the new label on it, and go drop them off. Now, I dropped them off all on Monday. Today is Wednesday? Yeah. Wednesday, obviously. I haven't gotten any of them back, so I'm guessing they went fine. But I think what happens is one envelope gets stuck in the machine, and then they're like, "Oh, these are all those. These all need more money because they're gonna get caught in my machine."
Were they
and they pull them all
multi-card
off.
orders that you had like
Sure.
9 in an envelope?
They were just whatever. A lot of them were single card orders.
Right.
Yep. So they just scoop up the whole when the machine, seizes or whatever, shuts down, and they just grab the whole stack of like envelopes and they drop them off.
I've not had
So
that.
I would imagine that it's coming, buddy.
It's coming. That actually reminds me.
I push the envelope a little on some of those where I'll have like 6 cards in one holder, and so I could see where one would get caught once in a while. And if they brought it back to me and they were like, "This one envelope needs 43 more cents," I'd be like, "All right, you got me."
Yeah.
But I'm not putting 43 cents on. I swear to God, it was like 20 to 25 envelopes that I got back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not doing that.
That actually reminds me, I saw on the eBay announcements today that they're expanding the use of the eBay standard envelope to additional categories now.
And they should. What they need to do is have better communication with the post office so they understand what the hell it is.
Yeah.
Because one time I talked to my carrier about it, and she's like, "Well, I don't even know what these are and how to scan them." And I'm like, "Dude, like you should be seeing millions of these every day."
Right.
Not you personally, but like the post office, like they should probably tell these people like this is a thing and it's okay. It can be a semi-rigid card holder in there and you can send it along. So no, it's still completely small amount of anything that goes wrong. So it's still worth it, to do it that way. But yeah, I was like, geez, you got to be kidding me. You stamped each one of these? What are you doing?
Yeah, the only thing I've gotten from my letter carrier is actually compliments for the packaging and how I've prepared them. They must get really frustrated when, especially on the ground packages, that the barcodes all, messed up and bent over and rippled. So I got twice now. I've come home and my wife has talked to the letter carrier, and they're like, "Yeah, you guys do a really good job with these. There's never any problems." And so I don't know. It seems to be working.
Yeah, 99% of the time I just drop mine right off at the hub. So I don't, it never goes. On Monday, I have, stacks like this. They don't even fit in my mailbox. So I don't. Yeah. And then if I have any card of significant value, I'm not putting it and leaving it sit in my mailbox to be picked up.
Yeah.
Then I drop them off. If I have a $150 card, I'm not going to put that in my mailbox. So
yeah.
Most of the time, I always do my postage that day because I'm required at the top seller. Sometimes I don't drop it off till the next morning. So a lot of times I can do like 2 days of postage and then go drop it off. So it allows me to, not have to run every day or something like that. But
yeah, I do more in my mailbox now than I did in the past. But I also typically in the wintertime, because a lot of times these mailboxes just are not very weatherproof, then I do more at either a drop box or right at the hub.
Yeah. It's so close for me, and if I'm gonna go anywhere, if I have to go do something, it's generally on the way. Because where I am, there's nothing right here, and then I have to go that way to get to any of the Mason Street or business type stuff. So it's like I literally have to drive past it to get to anything. So pretty fortunate that way that, and I don't like necessarily the drop box. I like to go in and put it right into the hub drop so that I know for sure it's protected by the post office. No one can break into that box overnight and take $300 worth of cards I have shipping out. And, um, when I was shipping 2 or 3 cards a day, I didn't really care because it's like, okay, it's $5 worth of cards of some, but now it's like my whole day's worth of income
Right.
could be wiped out. Could be wiped out. Not to mention upset customers, and could be a real problem. So, yeah, so I just the feel better me. I generally will just go take them there, and it takes me I mean, they're all have postage on them. I literally just have to go in and throw them in there. So, and sometimes it's my 5 minutes out of the house, working at home. So, kind of how I do it. But yeah, when she came back with the whole stack, I'm like, "Ugh, again, you got to be kidding me!" Like, fine, pull out the one that didn't scan and jack me the 43 cents, and let the rest go. But I also like it too because when I take them to the hub, there's like a dumper drawer for like mass envelopes, but then there's a slot too. I always put them through the slot because if it doesn't fit in the slot, it's not going to fit in the scanner. So for me, it's kind of like my quick way to sort of measure them and make sure that they go through. I've been doing this long enough. I pretty much know okay, I can't ship 14 cards in one envelope, whatever. Or in one holder. But sometimes it's like, I don't know if this will go or not, and it allows me to sort of measure that way.
It's funny you say that because when I started this, I had no clue. Like, I had no sense of judgment on weights and stuff like that when I was packaging something. And I didn't eventually buy a scale, and I still use it. But just recently, like in the last week or two, I finally had that moment where I was holding something and I was like, this feels like 2.5 ounces. So I'm going to probably put 3 on this. And sure enough, I put it on the scale and it was like 2.9,
Yeah. And I've been mailing merchandise for years and years and years before this, with my other business. So yeah, I'm pretty good at it. I try to use the scale on any package that's significant. If it's $100 card, even though I'm like, this has to be 3 ounces, I'm still going to throw it on there because it comes up at 4. I really don't want that card back for 1 ounce of postage. Or them to charge my customer for the 1 ounce. So it's so quick. It's just a food scale that I use. I can just throw it on there real quick. And while I'm printing the label, that goes on there. 3.5, I'm good. 4 ounces. And make sure you always round up. So if it's 3.5 ounces, don't put 3 ounces on the eBay measurement because it's going to print a 3 ounce postage, and then if the post office does check it, it'll be too much.
Both on the weights and the measurement of the packaging that you have, always round up.
It's just a lot of times it doesn't even cost you anymore. Like I had one today that I sent, and it was at 3 ounces, and I weighed it, and it was 3.1. I'm like, son of a bitch. So I thought about taking weight out of it or whatever, and I'm like, I put 4 ounces in there. It was the exact same price as 3 ounces. So it didn't cost me any, and I know that a lot from doing international. So like an international package, it's anything up to 6 ounces. So I could do 1 ounce for this $16 or whatever, or I can do 5 ounces for $16. So I know that that's how they do it. There's it's not like it's not like an envelope where 1 ounce charges you this much, 2 ounce charges you this much, 3 ounce. Packages are different. It might be 3 to 6 ounces, and it's different based on region and what service. It's not an exact thing, so you're best off just to weigh it and then put it in there. And if it's within an ounce, it might not cost you anything at all.
Yeah, I see that as well. Where there's those tiers where it really doesn't hurt you to add that extra ounce on there just to make sure it's accurate.
Yeah, so you don't get a pile of mail back the next day with stamps on it, and you got to reprint the labels. I was just fuming in here. I had so much going on already this week, and I was like, you gotta kidding me? I got to reprint all these labels. And then I was like, oh, I'll just peel the old label off so I can use the same envelope. And then I'm like, no, for the 1 cent envelope, I'm ripping every one of these suckers open.
I gotta say
Plus,
that does sound brutal.
it was unfun, as Luna likes to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that is not. Yeah, it wasn't good. But we wanted to talk about kind of our annoyances. That's definitely my biggest one. Is that they just don't understand the program, the employees.
Yeah, so that's one of those examples of everybody's got their little job in the chain, right? And they don't
Mhm.
really worry about what anybody else in the chain does.
And they want to make sure that they're getting enough postage for what's going out. But come on, you gotta like just put the. And I know most of those employees are like, whatever, just throw them all through, because time is money too, right? Like she had to
Yeah.
take on, again, I say she, that's not fair, but this person had to take and stamp each one of these, get them back to my letter carrier, have her bring them to me, drop them off. Like, was that even worth it? And 99% of the time, people are just going to remail it. I can't imagine putting the postage on it.
Yeah.
I suppose if you had one and it never happened to you, you'd be like, oh my gosh, I owe 43 cents. Okay, I'll give it 43 cents to my letter carrier and, she'll take care of it. But no, I just threw them all back in the box. They'll all scan through and it'll be fine. And
Yeah.
most of the time, like I said, if one doesn't scan through, they'll forward it to the customer and then the customer would have to pay the 43 cents. Because I get a message once in a great while from a customer that says, hey, just so you know, they charge me 43 cents. I just refund them 43 cents in their purchase to square up. So, because what can I do at that point? Somebody already had to pay, somebody already paid for it.
Right.
And again, most of the time it's going to be, well, I sent, 6 or 7 cards. So that 43 cents, it's what, 5 cents a card,
Yeah.
that it cost me for that postage. So it's kind of like one of those things where somebody says, hey, I got this $2, I didn't get this $2 card. I'm not going to research it. I'm just going to give them the $2,
Yeah.
and I'll take my other $300 I made that day and give them the $2 out of that, and I'll move on with my
There you
new
go.
life. So, but that's probably my one biggest annoyance. Not a lot annoys me really. I think sometimes probably the only other thing I can really think of is offers back and forth. Somebody, I'm charging $5 for a card, they offer 3, I counter back at 4, and then they offer me 3.25, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And then I offer them, I go back at 4 again. Like that should say to you, like, the lowest I'm willing to take is 4, right?
Right.
Because I don't usually type messages. I don't have time for that. I know some people put messages in with their offers. I don't really do that most times. But then I come back at 4, and then they'll be like 350. I'm like, dude, I just sent you 4 twice. 4 is my price.
Yeah.
And there's been times where I'm just like, no, what, screw it. I'm just going to decline it. I just don't
Yeah.
want to deal with. I don't want to spend any more time on this. So
Yep. For
I,
sure.
I, I try not to do that real often because I always want to have an option for the sale. But then I'm like, this is awesome because I'm not going to take your 350. I turn it off. Now, if you want to buy this card, now you got to pay the full price because I'm not taking offers anymore. So now it's actually going to cost you the $5 if you really want it. If you were trying to
That sounds
turn it
spiteful.
nickel and dime me. No, it's more just sometimes you just have to have a cutoff. Like this is all I'm going to do on this, to try to make this transaction happen, and I got to move on.
Yeah.
I've done that with dealers in person too, in another form. Like I got $30 worth of cards, and I offer them 25, and they're like, "No, I got to stick with sticker. I need the 30," and I'm like, "Nope," because I picked these out based on being able to pay the 25. That's what's going to work for me, and I'll put them back.
Yeah.
Sorry, it didn't work out, and I respect them. They want their $30. Great, I hope you get it, but it's not going to be for me. You're looking for a different buyer than who I am. I'm here to
Right.
buy these to resell them. I'll take a chunk of them off your hand so you can cash out easily, and then I need to go move them. For my and 99.9% of the dealers understand that, and some of them
Yeah.
just don't. They don't. they think you're the end user, and I'm not. So
Right.
yeah, in most cases, I don't, I'll buy cards here or there for myself, but I sort of look at whatever isn't selling is what my collection is.
Yeah.
Right, my inventory is my collection, and as soon as somebody, so when I was in high school, my best friend in high school, his dad owned a construction company. So he had a lot of he had a lot of money and a lot of fancy toys. He had a fancy sports car and all this stuff. And he said something to me once that I never forgot, because as a business mind, I try to pick up these things over the years from people who are good in business. I asked him, I said, well, why are you selling your car? I thought you loved your car. And he goes, well, everything's for sale for the right price. And I thought about that. I'm like, that it kind of makes sense. Like if somebody came, if the market value on your house is $500,000 and someone comes and offers you $1 million, you have to take the $1 million. Like,
Right.
you have to convince your wife that you need to, and your kids that you need to take the $1 million. That's a whole other conversation. But like, if I have a card that I bought for $2 and someone wants to offer me 30 for it, like I have to sell it.
Yeah.
You can always take that money and put it into other cards you like or whatever, but
yeah, absolutely.
You should always market anything you have. And if you can get the right money, let it go. So that's kind of how I've always, even my PC, I'll sell anything out of my PC if I can get enough money for it, because I can get other stuff from my PC then, or
like
keep profit.
Like Ted the $1 Million Man DiBiase used to say, everybody's got a price.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, if you're buying people, maybe that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, it's.
Well, you're the one talking soccer before that said some team sold a player to another team.
Yeah, so soccer is. I think we've talked about this before, but they're really interesting. It's really interesting. You actually are like buying the player's contract, so it's like, yeah, you're like buying and selling the player. Now, big players do have stuff where it's like, no, you have to guarantee me this much endorsement. And like Messi, when he signed with MLS soccer, he's like, yeah, I want a cut of every single thing you sell for MLS, not just Messi stuff, which is insane. That's better than a Jordan contract. But they were like, yeah, okay, well, it's Lionel Messi coming to play in the MLS. Like this is it. This is what it's going to cost us. So I kind of look at it like, for me, like, let's say I'm the MLS and you're Messi and you're like, this is what I want. I'd be like, well, if I sell another jersey and I have to give you a piece of that, I still make money off the jersey, like less than I would normally. But if you're the reason why I'm able to make that sale, like that doesn't seem like a terrible deal for me, because I don't pay you any of that unless something sells.
Right.
I mean, he obviously has a hefty salary besides, but this was his like profit sharing, thing that he wrote in or whatever. And like, I mean, if I buy this card for $1 and I can sell it for $10 because I put, Charlie's face sticker on it or something, and I have to give $1 to Charlie, I'm still like, well, that's still a $9 that I made that I wouldn't have made without Charlie. Like, I'll give him his $1. I mean, very loose interpretation there. I don't know what the percentages and stuff were, but it was like, oh, it's still an insane deal, but
it is, yeah,
probably still a good one for a league that doesn't really have. It's not really established. Like, people don't really know it or buy into it, or
at least not globally.
Definitely not globally, and I would think even in America. Like if I asked you to name all the NFL teams, you could probably get pretty close to most of them. If I said name all the teams in the MLS, how many could you name?
0, maybe 1.
Because,
I could name some teams, and you'd probably be like, "That's actually the women's league," and
right. So and obviously, if you're a big MLS fan, you could name more teams. But I think when we're just talking general populace, you'd probably find more examples of someone like yourself, where, well, I know who the Buffalo Bills are, I know who the 49ers are, I know. but I don't know who DC United is. Inter Miami, which is who Messi plays for. Chicago Fire. Like there's all these teams and stuff. Like
I know Chicago Fire. Yep.
yeah, yeah. So it's the LA Galaxy. There's all these teams that are actually pretty big name teams in the sport of soccer, but most people don't know who they are.
Yeah,
which is interesting. So, but it goes back to that, starting to pick up on some soccer and watch some. Messi being here and playing in that league is definitely going to help. It's brought a lot more attention to it. And,
Seattle Reign.
I don't think so. I don't know all the MLS teams either. I don't really follow it either. Seattle Reign. That doesn't sound familiar.
There's a team called that, but
I typed in Seattle Reign and it brought me up the forecast.
It's REIGN.
Oh, that would be why. I'm like, Rain? What a weird name for a team.
That might be NWSL, actually.
Rain FC. I mean, FC is generally a soccer term.
Yeah, that's soccer for sure.
Yeah, it's women's.
Oh, okay. See, I told you. Yeah. I'd start throwing out some names.
Yeah, and I really don't know the women's teams.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Soccer's gonna be really interesting over the next few years. If you're gonna jump in, this would be it. You've got a window here of about 6 to 9 months before you're going to start getting a lot more people coming in, and the prices will probably go up. Trying to prepare for the cup. So, I really want to go to a game, but of course, there's nothing near where we are. So
Chicago.
There's nothing in Chicago. I think the closest one is like Minneapolis.
Yeah.
For the World Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would be a decent amount of travel for me if I wanted to get to a game. So
yeah.
If you want to go see the big teams, Brazil, Argentina, the bigger name, Portugal, with Ronaldo. If you want to go see some of the bigger name teams, tickets are,
Yeah.
So you got the travel, you got the hotel, and then you got the tickets. So I don't know that I'm into it enough that I would want to. And of course, if you go to see Team USA, it's going to cost you a lot because it's in the United States.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be the biggest demand for tickets. So I don't know. But it'd be cool to have it here. We haven't had it here since '94, I think, was the last U.S. World Cup. So, I think the women's was in '98 was the women's here. I have to go back and look. And the U.S. team won it, which is even more amazing.
Yeah.
But it'll be cool to have it back and just have a little bit more fire put on soccer for those that, because it's grown quite a bit here. I mean, I remember when I was a kid and I played, and nobody could tell you any of the players. Right. No one ever watched any of the games. There wasn't access to any of the games. Now I have like friends who like don't seem like soccer people that like follow a team, in the Premier League and stuff. And it's like, oh, this is kind of cool because this is like I actually know the sport itself. Like, I played the sport. Versus like I talk about football. I never really played football. Played a little bit of hockey, but we're talking like pee-wee hockey, like no check hockey,
Right.
And played a little t-ball. I did play flag football, I guess, for a year or two, but I got in so hot at soccer right away that I was playing that year round. I couldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
So it's really hard when you grow up and you're like you got your other friends are talking about what they did as offensive linemen in high school, and it's like, oh, I played soccer, so it's kind of fun to like have people that are into it now and watching stuff at the professional level and watching the World Cup and that, and you can actually talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't think it's going to overtake football. I don't think it's going to overtake baseball. I don't think might overtake basketball in our country. Basketball, the NBA is flopping pretty hard. So, pun intended, because there's a lot of floppers in the NBA. some new hot rookies coming in, things like that. I'm sure will help a bit. But and LeBron's son is coming in, I think, next year, so he could end up playing with his dad. I'm sure there'll be an arrangement that's going to work out. So there's some things coming that'll spice it up a little bit, but
right.
I don't know. I think soccer could get a lot more attention. It has a lot more things coming into it than the NBA does to boost it up. Like we were talking earlier about buying cards before the season and blah blah blah. That doesn't really work in basketball. Nobody watches basketball until like 3/4 of the way through the season. I think Christmas Day is like when basketball starts getting watched. Because there's always that big Christmas Day basketball, and then there's kind of that playoff push, and so it's different than the other. Like there's in football, it's all the preseason hype. In baseball, it's all the spring training hype. In basketball, like no one cares. It's really interesting. Other than maybe a couple like the big hot rookies coming in, get maybe a little bit of attention right up front. But yeah, I haven't sold a ton more basketball because basketball started last week.
No, I haven't either.
I mean, it's a consistent seller. I sell basketball cards every day, but I don't see like a giant spike for anything. So unless there's a big trade,
Yeah.
big trade to a big team kind of thing. Like, yeah, I don't know. So, but anyway, we're at the 2:46 mark. I think we are good for tonight. Thanks everybody so much for joining us live in the chat. We super appreciate it, especially on a more of a free for all night of topics. And don't forget to watch my card show video from Madison. It's a pretty good one. And then tomorrow I'm going to get up the pickups video. I did find some really good stuff there, so I want you to be able to check that out. Thanks again, Charlie, for joining me. Appreciate it as always. And happy Mariah Carey Day to all.
Did I really just say "you betcha" like a classic Midwesterner?
Yeah, betcha. You should have said yeah betcha. Yeah betcha, buddy. And of course, thanks to Stu for keeping the party lit as usual.
He's always here.
He's always here. And with that, we're going to say our goodbyes. Me, Charlie, and the goat.
Peace out.